Hokage give me a face, Chapter 441-460. Chapter 441-Sasuke defected. In the early morning, the climate is warm and pleasant, the sun shines on the grass and leaves, and the dewdrops reflect colorful rays of light. Kamizuki Izumo and Gangzitai were walking on the streets of Konoha with their thick books in their arms. The streets were empty, and the clean floor tiles and the warm sunlight put them in a good mood. These two Chunin sets are very unique. They have a lot of appearances in the original book. Anyway, they are all kinds of tasks in the village, guarding the gate, taking the Chunin exam, helping Hokage carry documents, and various chores. It seems that they rarely appear. Village. Speaking of which, although the Hokage ceremony is still a month away, Mr. Minato has already fully started working as a Hokage. Of course, I heard that Lord Hokage wanted to make Lord Minato a Hokage 10 years ago, but because of the Kyuubi Ninetales incident, Lord Minato couldn't control Kyuubi Ninetales, so he has waited until now. No, as you say, Lord Minato can control Kyuubi Ninetales now. The two chatted while walking, and after walking for a few dozen meters, Gangziti was stunned for a moment, staring straight at the stone chair by the street ahead. What's wrong? Kamizuki Izumo asked in confusion. Gangzitai 30 didn't answer, but walked silently to the stone chair. Hey little girl, get up. You'll catch a cold when you sleep here. Gangzitai could only remind him loudly because he was holding a document more than half a meter high in both hands. Accompanied by Gangzitai's voice, Sakura, who was sleeping on the stone chair, slowed down. Slowly opened his eyes. Sasuke. She stood up suddenly, only to find that she was lying on the stone chair, but instead of crying like the original, she looked up at Gangziti and slowly said what happened last night. Konoha in the early morning is the most natural beauty in the ninja world. Namikaze Minato is sitting on an office chair working hard on documents. He does not play in the office like Yizan since he was a child. He does not understand Hokage's duties and needs more time to study. Dong dong dong. Come in. Crunch. The office door was pushed open, and Gangzitai and Kamizuki Izumo walked in with documents and books half a meter high. Lord Minato, there is something important to report. What's the matter? Uchiha Sasuke left Konoha last night. According to the rules of the Konoha ninja, those who leave Konoha without permission are regarded as missing nin. It is impossible for Sasuke Uchiha to not know these rules, which means... It's true. This is what Uchiha Sasuke's teammates, Haruno Sakura himself told us. Gangzitai's words made Minato's brows wrinkle slightly. You know, his son Naruto is a member of this team. He also knows that Naruto has always liked Haruno Sakura, and he also knows that Naruto and Sasuke have a good relationship. Friendship. I heard from Big Brother Zan that Orochimaru came to Konoha. Is it really for Sasuke? This guy. Minato closed his eyes and thought for a while, then looked up at Kamizuki Izumo. Go and call Shikamaru. Nara's house. Shikamaru yawned tiredly. For a lazy person like him, getting up at 6:50 in the morning is a very painful thing. Hurry up and eat, Shikamaru. Starting today, your father is going to go out on a mission, so there's not much time to take you to practice in the morning. Hey, yes. Got it. Yes, only once. Quote. Shikamaru pouted and glanced at her mother with a displeased face. He had been nagging since the morning, and he couldn't stand it. Ding dong. The sound of the doorbell made Shikamaru's mother turn around in confusion. Who was ringing the doorbell so early? Mom left the restaurant. Shikamaru finally breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at Shikaku and asked in a low voice, Hey, Dad, why did you marry such a fierce mom? So. Shikaku closed his eyes and chewed the food, and began to recall the events of the year in his mind. Because Inoichi and Choza are both married, according to our Inoshika-cho tradition, the marriage is usually done around the same time, so that the next generation can continue to form Inoshika-cho together, and your mother. There are also times when the smile is very gentle, I still like it very much. When you smile softly, really, Shikamaru's mouth pouted even higher at the thought of his mother's stern look. At this moment, Shikamaru's mother came in from outside, her eyes narrowed happily, and the smile on the corner of her mouth surprised Shikamaru. Shikamaru, the 5 generations of Hokage want to see you. This may be your first mission to become Chunin. Come on, hee tilde. Last night, Uchiha Sasuke left the village. If you guessed correctly, it should be heading towards the hidden village. Why did he leave? Because I was invited by Orochimaru. What? Shikamaru looked at Namikaze Minato in disbelief, feeling very unbelievable. Wait. Why did Sasuke accept Orochimaru's invitation? Although I heard about the Uchiha family, Sasuke shouldn't go to Orochimaru even if he takes revenge. Our Konoha masters. I'm sorry, our Konoha masters can't let go of their own things for Sasuke. Maybe only Big Brother Zan is free, but with Big Brother Zan's character, it is impossible for 927 to teach Sasuke. Minato's words made Shikamaru realize gradually. As Shikaku's son, of course he knows the relationship between Yizan Minato and the previous generation of Ino Shikacho. Because of this, he and Choji and Ino have been mixed with Marina, Naruto, and Kiba since childhood. Play tricks together, because their parents are good friends from childhood to adulthood. Shikamaru still knows a little bit about Yizan. He is strong, lazy, lustful, and protects his shortcomings. The good and the bad are all concentrated in one person. In Shikamaru's eyes, Yizan is a very distinctive person. Shikamaru, now it's your first mission to become Chunin. Minato said solemnly. Bring Sasuke back. Shikamaru yawned lazily. If he just brought Sasuke back, it wouldn't be too difficult. Well, but you have to pay attention. Since Orochimaru's subordinates are very likely to lure Sasuke away, there is a certain danger in this mission. What? Then why not send Jonin? Because of the collapse of the previous venue, Konoha's reputation has dropped a lot. In order to maintain its reputation, we have sent a large number of Jonin out to do tasks. At present, there are not enough people, so I hope you can find a partner you think is suitable to participate in this time within 30 minutes. Mission. Oh, by the way, for myself, I would first recommend to you Naruto. Chapter 442-Sleep Till Noon. Jingle, jingle. The door of Shimura's villa, the crisp doorbell rang from time to time. The spacious first floor was silent, as if there was no one in the whole house. On the second floor, Yizan was sleeping comfortably with Tsunade in his left hand and Kushina in his right hand. He seemed to hear the doorbell coming from downstairs in a daze, but he didn't have the energy to open the door after being tired all night. I told you, their house won't get up so early. Outside the door, Naruto held the back of his head in his hands with a carefree look. Compared with the bond between him and Sasuke in the original book, now, because of Namikaze Minato and Miwako's relationship Guanai, as well as Marina, Shikamaru, Choji and other friends from childhood to adulthood, the bond between him and Sasuke is not as deep as he imagined. Looking at the completely silent door of Shimura's house, Shikamaru's head was covered in black lines, and finally he sighed helplessly and left with Naruto. Dad is right, the Shimura family, the whole family is lazy. Shikamaru finally gathered Naruto, Choji, Kiba, Neji and Lee Rock. Lee Rock's injury recovered long before the third test. He took part in this task with a full face. Thumbs up, is bound to Sasuke brought it back. At the gate of Konoha, all the Shaoqiang set off with enthusiasm. In the office, Sarutobi walked in with a pipe in his mouth. Minato, I just heard that Naruto, Shikamaru and the others are going after Sasuke. You send some Anbu to follow. Oh, this time the mission is so serious. Is the enemy strong? No. Sarutobi took a deep breath, and the choking smell of smoke lingered in the office. Naruto is very strong. Even if Orochimaru sends people to pick up Sasuke, these people are not Naruto's opponents, and Anbu is sent for a critical moment. Stop Naruto and let Sasuke leave. What? Namikaze Minato's eyes widened in disbelief, clearly taken aback by Sarutobi's words. This matter is very secret. From the source, it can be traced back to the time when Xiaoshuan served as Hokage. You send Anbu out first. About Uchiha Sasuke and the whole Uchiha, I will tell you in detail. Sarutobi told Minato in detail about Uchiha's extermination of the family, as well as Itachi and Sasuke, including the situation hidden in Anbu and Uchiha Shisui. To Minato, it seemed that Konoha's hidden veil had been lifted. So many arrangements have been made in the dark. So, the Akatsuki established by Yahiko Nagato has been completely out of our control, and will even become our enemy at some point in the future. Well, from the current situation, it's only a matter of time before becoming an enemy, and Akatsuki has absorbed many cage-level powerhouses, and even Orochimaru was one of Akatsuki's members, so we sent Uchiha Itachi organize undercover. As for Sasuke's situation, Xiaoshuan has already made arrangements. Sarutobi's words made Minato realize, although he didn't understand why Sasuke defected, but since it was Brother Zan's actions, he wouldn't question or stop him in the slightest. In his eyes, what Big Brother Zan did was always right, and if he didn't understand it, he could only prove that his IQ was too low. Well, the man who is so admired by Namikaze Minato is yawning lazily at the moment, the two naked young beauties in his arms are breathing evenly, and he has not woken up yet. It was so comfortable last night. Yizan smacked his mouth, and reminisced about the fight with the two women last night. Fortunately, he was in good health, and he entered the 6 paths level, unlocking the 3rd layer of human genetic locks, or else, Yi Shengji's battle is really overwhelmed. Let's have some steak or something for dinner today to get some energy and protein. Thinking of this, Yizan's saliva gushed out. He hadn't eaten anything for dinner last night. He looked up at the window and found that it was almost noon. The sun is shining brightly today. Yizan thought silently. He kissed Tsunade and Kushina on the cheeks, got up and dressed, and quickly left the bedroom. Blah 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 blah. Down the Yuhi wooden stairs, only to find that the first floor was empty, and there was a small sound of a walk in the closed kitchen. Yizan sniffed his nose and his stomach growled softly. It smells good, is it Makoto? Opened the sliding kitchen door, and sure enough, Makoto was cooking lunch when she heard the sliding door and turned to look with a happy smile on her face. Brother Zan, wake up Tilda. Well, what's for lunch today? Yizan walked over and wrapped his arms around her waist, put his chin on the back of her neck, and sniffed lightly. The natural fragrance from Makoto poured into his nostrils. Cut, where is the natural fragrance again? Do you really think that there are incense sticks of Weiju Gegri everywhere? It's obviously the smell of lemon-scented shampoo. Don't interrupt. Yizan's eyes widened, and he immediately scared away the narrator that appeared inexplicably. By the way, why didn't you see Marina and Ellie? They went to play with Hinata. Brother Zan, do you remember what you said at dinner last night? Makoto's voice was glutinous, but the implied meaning made Yizan's heart tighten, and he laughed awkwardly. Ah, that, what? Humph. Brother Zan, you bastard. It was agreed yesterday. Makoto gently threw off the claws holding his waist, and started cooking on his own. My darling Makoto was rarely angry, which made Yizan even more embarrassed. His hand was hanging in the air, and finally his skin thickened and he hugged him again. Hey, my darling Makoto, how about taking you to a flower arrangement class today? Really? I promised yesterday, if you have a flower arrangement class today. Start at 2 p.m. Quote. Getting permission, Makoto pushed Yizan out of the kitchen. She likes to cook, and she likes to make delicious dishes. With Yizan by her side, she is easily distracted. Leaving the kitchen, Yizan sat lazily on the sofa. He thought about it for a while, and found that Conan didn't get up. His eyes rolled, and a smirk crossed the corner of his mouth. Is Conan still sleeping? Go to her bedroom. Hey. Chapter 443 The Reason Why Conan Didn't Wake Up. Conan is indeed sleeping. Yizan tiptoed into Conan's bedroom and found that she was breathing evenly and sleeping soundly. It's strange, doesn't Conan usually get up very early? Why is he still sleeping so late today? Yizan was puzzled and walked quietly to Conan's shop. No pajamas. Huh. And walked around Conan's room quietly, and finally found Conan's clothes and inner clothes on the chair on the other side. Wow, you actually took off the inner. Yizan smirked, sniffed close to Conan, and finally smelled a faint smell. And Yizan's nose sniffing also made Conan, who was sleeping, feel the movement. She slowly opened her eyes and found Yizan's wicked eyes and wicked smile. Teacher. As if thinking of something, Conan's cheek, Yuhi, didn't have time to do anything. The bed was lifted with a swish. Ah, Conan subconsciously whispered, and Yizan squeezed indirectly. He put on the bed and hugged Conan, smiling wickedly, his eyes flashing with enthusiasm. Little girl, what were you doing last night? 663 inches. No. No. He, not yet. Come over if you want, Tilda. Teacher hates. You were with Tsunade's sister Kushina last night. Before Conan could finish speaking, Yizan pursed his lips all of a sudden, and soon, Conan's depressed and comfortable voice sounded in the bedroom. It was not until 12 noon, after Makoto shouted several times downstairs, that Yizan took Conan downstairs. Conan's cheeks were Yuhi's, with a hint of comfortable aftertaste. Cut, it's all messed up in the daytime, be careful of kidney failure. Kushina, who was already awake, glanced at Yizan. Since Marina and Ellie hadn't come back, she could only play one-on-one ninja killing with Tsunade. Cross the river and demolish the bridge. Invulnerable. Kushina, don't try to tear down my vine armor, I have a lot of invulnerability in my hands. As if he had guessed Kushina's move, Tsunade smiled complacently, then looked at Yizan, and turned Conan away from him. Sweeping from top to bottom, Conan, the voice just now was quite loud. I didn't expect you to be this kind of Conan. What's wrong, Tsunade's sister? Last night you and Kushina's sister shouted even louder, and you called me. Conan's face Yuhi's counterattack. If Tsunade Kushina hadn't screamed too loudly last night, she wouldn't use her fingers alone. Too. Cut. When Conan said this, Tsunade was speechless, but Kushina's eyes lit up and asked eagerly, Conan, was my voice louder last night, or did Tsunade's sister's voice be louder? What, Kushina, you have to compare me to this. HMPH, I'm going to compare with you. Kushina gave Tsunade a provocative look, and suddenly played the card in his hand, Ninja Repeater, Kill. Flash. Wine, Kill by Fire. Ah. Hit by Kushina, Tsunade was completely dumbfounded. She looked at the last flawless card in her hand and lowered her head without any momentum. You won. He. Kushina raised her head happily, and was about to continue arrogant. Makoto quickly walked over from the restaurant. Boom. Oops. Kushina let out a pained cry and covered her forehead fiercely. She looked up at Makoto and blinked her eyes pitifully. Makoto, what are you knocking on me for? Humph. How many times have I called to eat? You are still playing here, come and eat. Kushina is not afraid of heaven and earth, just afraid of Makoto. How should I put it? Because Kushina is a foodie, and Makoto is the chef at home. If Makoto is angry, Makoto will specialize in cooking things that Kushina doesn't like. It will be too miserable. What? Obviously the stinky hooligan and Conan were delaying the time upstairs, and the bad Makoto knows to knock me. Kushina mumbled aggrieved, but she wisely shut her mouth under Makoto's eyes, and she followed everyone to the table on the side. At first glance, I saw what she hated to eat the most. Ah, Makoto, you fried green peppers. This is for Conan, your place is over there. Huh, Yuhi grilled meat, sucking. I like it. Makoto is so good. After having lunch and resting for a while, it was 1:40. Since Makoto was the chef today and Yizan had already agreed, the girls let Yizan go and let Yizan accompany Makoto to the flower arrangement class. Makoto's flower arrangement class is a huge remodeled classroom on the 5th floor of the new commercial building. There are the world's top flower arrangement teachers. Because of this, many women in Konoha choose to study here, but because the cost is quite expensive, this large classroom is not full. 10 minutes away, the two finally reached their destination, but the moment they reached the door, Yizan was counseled. "That, baby Makoto, can I not go in?" The face of Yizan's confession, Makoto didn't even reply, he just pulled hard. Clang! Yizan was unsteady and happened to kick the iron gate of the gate. The loud sound made all the women in the large classroom turn their heads, and then there was a buzzing sound like a bee. Wow, Shimura General. Shimura-san also came to the flower arrangement class. I must tell my husband when I go back. Cut, didn't you realize that Shimura-san came with Uchiha Makoto? I see, come with my wife, hey. If only my husband treated me like this. You just want your husband to be nice to you. That's all you want. If I said, it would be nice to be Shimura-san's wife. Look how happy Uchiha Makoto is. Tisk. Akamichi Karara. First you have to be as pretty as Uchiha Makoto, second you have to be slim. Because the flower arrangement classes offered by the world's top florists are quite expensive, most of the people who come here are Konoha Jonin's wives. In the entire classroom, up to 70% of the women know Yizan. Then, Yizan feels that he has become a cherished animal, and as the kind of eyes staring at him made him completely embarrassed. Makoto, can I go out? Chapter 444 _ Take a flower arrangement class with Makoto. 10 minutes left of the class. Not only the teacher of flower arrangement class did not come, but also some students did not arrive. Generally speaking, the tighter the class time, the more people come, especially in the last 2 minutes. More than a dozen women came in one after another. Makoto's position was relatively forward. Yizan sat beside Makoto, his body was stiff, and he was a little restless. As soon as these women discussed, a small number of civilians or wealthy businessmen's wives and unmarried rich second-generation girls also knew Yizan's identity. They all looked at Yizan with curious eyes, especially the women behind. Yizan could even rely on the first 6 senses feel the gaze of these women. Makoto. Brother Zan, you promised me. But I'll be very sad if you go now. Yizan bowed his head helplessly, believing his fate. The clock on the wall pointed to 2 o'clock, accompanied by the sound of footsteps. Behind the wide podium, a woman in kimono, about 40 years old, walked out. This woman looks a little older, but she is dressed very well, with traditional kimonos, delicate accessories, and the grace between her steps, making her look a few years younger. But you can still see the crow's feet. Yizan muttered in a low voice, but was stared at by the woman on the podium, but when she found Yizan sitting next to Makoto, she understood something. Being able to become a world-class flower arranging master and opening such a large training institution in Konoha, of course, she knows a lot more than ordinary civilians. She bowed to Yizan politely. Although she was dissatisfied with Yizan's muttering just now, she was very polite. Said, I didn't expect that Shimura-sama would come to the lecture, and Aoi Hanazaki is sincerely honored. Yizan also nodded politely. The other party was an average-looking old woman, so he didn't care. After the etiquette was over, the woman did not continue talking to Yizan. After all, she was a world-renowned flower-arranging artist, so there was no need to flatter Yizan. Just when she was about to start today's class, a hurried voice sounded from outside the door. Sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm late today. The familiar voice made Yizan stunned for a moment, but before he could react, the fragrance was blowing in his nostrils. On the other side of where he was sitting, a beautiful woman with curly black hair sat down panting. Yuhi. Hey, brother Zan, why are you here? I came with Makoto. Since today was Saturday, the flower arrangement class ended from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. When the flower arrangement teacher announced that the class was dismissed, Yi-zan was completely deflated. Okay, brother-zan, class is over, what's the matter? Makoto hugged Yi-zan's arm a little funny, and kissed Yi-zan on the cheek intimately. Hey, Makoto, you don't know, these women seem to be eating me, their eyes like a wolf like a tiger. Yi-zan was trembling all over, especially the woman named Akamichi Shiliangli, who not only inherited the Akamichi family's figure, but also at least 30 years old depending on age. Maybe she has never had a husband, that look. Okay, how can it be so serious, you narcissist? Makoto poked Yi-zan lightly with his finger, while on the other side, Kurenai Yuhi silently put away his things, got up and wanted to leave. Hey, Yuhi, why are you gone? Yi-zan grabbed Kurenai Yuhi's hand, his face a little surprised. I went back beforehand, you and Makoto's sister. Hey, Yuhi, are you jealous? No. Oh, I'm really jealous. Yi-zan's words made Kurenai Yuhi's face turn to Yuhi. She wanted to get rid of Yi-zan's hand, but she couldn't. Beside, Makoto snickered, because Yuhi and Anko often came to Shimura's house to play when they were very young. All the women in the family have a good relationship with them, and they all know that these two women cannot escape Yi-zan's palm. Yuhi, brother-zan and I are going to eat some desserts. You can eat with us, Tilda, Makoto said softly. As a smart and gentle woman, except for some occasional tantrums, she was very considerate to Yi-zan most of the time. When Makoto said this, Yuhi hesitated. She really wanted to leave just now. After all, she had no name or distinction, and it was very uncomfortable to be sandwiched between Makoto and Yi-zan. But now, Makoto took the initiative to speak, and she didn't want to leave. After all, she really missed Yi-zan's, since she met in the flower arrangement class. Yi-zan saw Yuhi's hesitation. He didn't wait for Yuhi to agree. He held Makoto with his left hand and Yuhi with his right, and stood up with a grunt. Come on, Yuhi, Makoto, let's go have dessert. Soft and elegant music, Yuhi-colored sofas and tables. The layout of this top dessert restaurant is somewhat similar to a coffee shop. Since it is already 5 p.m., people either go home to eat, or go to the commercial street for dinner. Eat here for dessert. There was only Yi-zan at the table. Makoto went back and left halfway. She's very smart. Anything for dessert is an excuse. After all, it's 5 o'clock. She has to cook with Conan when she goes back, so there's no time for dessert. The smart Makoto just made an excuse to let Yi-zan and Yuhi stay together. After all, they are a family in the future, so she doesn't need to deal with Yuhi. Anyway, there are so many people in the family, 1 or 2 more, maybe it will be more lively. Moreover, she and Yuhi have a good relationship and have the same hobbies. Many years ago, she was still teaching Yuhi's cooking skills at home, including the flower arrangement class. There was elegant music in the dessert hall. After the boss brought the dessert, he went into the back kitchen. Yi-zan put some sugar and gently stirred the coffee with a spoon. Beside him, Yuhi lowered his head slightly, with a smear on his cheek. Yuhi dizzy. Yuhi. What are you thinking about? Yi-zan's words made Yuhi raise his head slightly, and his jewel-like eyes stared at Yi-zan silently. I'm thinking, Makoto, and Tsunade, Kushina, Conan and the others, how happy they are. Yuhi said softly. Yi-zan was stunned for a moment, and an uncontrollable feeling suddenly appeared in his heart. He put down the spoon and gently held Yuhi's palm. The slender and pure white hand was white and tender. Arms. Let's move into my house in a few days. Chapter 445 Yuhi's heart returns. Yuhi wine, rose, candlelight. Yuhi's home is romantic and warm. Yuhi moved out of Yuhi's house a few years ago. After all, she is so old that it is impossible to live with Yuhi. Her new home is located in a better location on Konoha West Street. It is 70 square meters, and she has decorated it exquisitely and elegantly. Yi-zan had already told the family that he would not go back tonight. As for why he didn't go back, Yizan believed that Makoto would explain it to the girls with all the fuss. Though Makoto is usually obedient and gentle, it's no joke to get black belly occasionally, especially for this kind of thing. Yizan believes that Makoto must be black. Well, this is not important. It is important. Now, at 9 o'clock in the evening, there is a romantic rose candlelight arranged by Yizan in Kurenai Yuhi's house. Boo! Cork was twisted open. The fragrance of the high-grade Yuhi wine was fragrant. Kurenai Yuhi crossed his hands against his chin, looked at Yizan shyly. His little heart was thumping, and there was a trace of anticipation in his eyes, but also a trace of fear. Gollum. Yuhi's wine was poured into the glass, and the faint moonlight and candlelight illuminated the wine glass with a faint transparency. He picked up the wine glass and handed it to Yuhi. He picked up another glass and shook it a few times, his eyes full of tenderness. Cheers. Cheers tilde. Glass collided, and Yuhi's heart beat a little. In order to hide her nervousness, she quickly brought the glass to her lips, took small sips, and drank most of it in a while. Cough cough. Perhaps choked, she squinted her eyes and coughed a few times. Looking at Yuhi's kitten-like expression, Yizan suddenly found it very interesting. When she closed her eyes, she left the seat and came to her side. Ah! Yuhi subconsciously exclaimed as her waist was hugged, but when she found out it was Yizan, she shyly leaned her head against Yizan's arms. Brother Zan. Huh. If I move to your place, will Tsunade sisters accept me? Of course. Do you think they have treated you as an outsider all these years? Huh. Yizan's words made Kurenai Yuhi stunned for a moment. Through Yizan's description and the memories in his mind, he found out that it seems like Tsunade Kushina's daughters have always had a very good attitude towards themselves, so good. Like sisters. Have you thought of it? Hate. So you had an idea for me in the first place. My dad was right, you really are a badass. Kurenai Yuhi smacked Yizan lightly. Yizan smiled proudly. He hugged Yuhi hard, as if rubbing Yuhi into his heart. It's too late now, you just obey this bad guy. Right, ha 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 ha. Laughing and laughing, Yizan looked down at Yuhi, but when Yizan stared at him, Yuhi immediately lowered his head shyly, because her head was leaning against Yizan's arms. Yizan could only see her slightly trembling eyelashes. Yuhi, Yizan called softly, bent down, and approached Yuhi gently. Brother Zan. Yuhi was shy and scared, watching the man in front of her getting closer and closer. She slowly closed her eyes. Lips meet, the romantic candlelight flickering at this moment. The night wind blows through the cracks of the window, blowing out the candlelight, and the originally dark room is completely darkened. The smell of Yuhi wine filled the room. Yuhi felt that her consciousness was a little hazy, and her body was getting hotter and hotter. Suddenly, she only felt that her body was vacated and was picked up by Yizan. After a while, she was lying on the soft bed superior. Brother Zan. Yuhi. The morning sun was warm and comfortable, and in Kurenai Yuhi's bedroom, Yizan was awakened by a tingling feeling. Opening his eyes, he found Kurenai Yuhi lying on top of him, scratching his nose with a tuft of hair. Yuhi, it's naughty again. Yizan smiled, and the hand in the blanket touched her body lightly. Her skin was smooth and white, and when Yizan touched it, she gasped for a while. Brother Zan, don't. It still hurts. Yo, why are you so naughty when you're still in pain? Just naughty. Who told Brother Zan to wake up later than me? From a girl to a woman, Yuhi's character has changed a little. I can't say that she has changed. I can only say that she has always shown people with a gentle image, and this slightly naughty appearance may only be used by Yizan all her life. Yuhi, when are you going to move in with me? What do you think? I think, if you can, it's better to move in today tilde, Yizan said. His hand was still moving around Yuhi's body. Yuhi, who was a new woman, couldn't bear it. After a while, her eyes became confused. Panting, his voice was soft and glutinous. Brother Zan, how are you? You want to bully me again? Hey, I didn't say I wanted to bully you, if you want to. I hate it. People still hurt, rascal. Then I'll treat you with sage art tilde. Disgusting. No way. Yuhi insisted not to let Yizan treat her. In her words, she wanted to experience the first feeling from the beginning to the end. After all, this is the only time a woman has, and she wants to always remember a very important step in her life. But seriously, I'm moving to your house, how do you convince my dad? Don't worry about Uncle Zuriong, you are my woman now, what else can he do? I'm called the Overlord, and I'll make up for it after boarding the boat. Yizan raised his chin proudly, and let out an arrogant look. Yuhi couldn't help but hammer him. I hate it, it's reasonable for you to mess around. You scoundrel, you have been carefully arranged for so long yesterday, I'm so stupid, I knew something would happen, but I was still taken over by you. Then are you happy now? Hee, happiness. Yuhi smiled happily, and leaned her head against Yizan's heart like a kitten. She silently listened to Yizan's heartbeat. For her now, as long as she can be with Yizan, even if it is so boring listening to her heartbeat, she also felt that it was the happiest thing in the world. Let's have a good rest at home today, and when you're not in pain, I'll accompany you to pack up the things you need to pack up, sleep again, and move to my place tomorrow, how about that? It's all up to you tilde. Chapter 446 Anko is also moving in. Yuhi was discovered by Anko within 2 days of moving into the house. Bang bang bang. The door was knocked violently, and the ceiling trembled. Yizan, who was serving vegetables to Jenna, was stunned for a moment, his face full of doubts. Who could it be, looking for me at noon, and knocking so loudly on the door, isn't it courting death? Putting down his chopsticks, Yizan walked to the door in annoyance, opened the door, and what caught his eye was Anko rising high Q. Anko. Asshole. Passing Yizan, Anko really saw Yuhi sitting at the dining table, she puffed up angrily, grabbed Yizan's palm, follow me. Yizan could react, Anko pulled him away. In the restaurant, the girls looked at each other in surprise, as if they understood something, and shrugged habitually. Looks like I'm going to add another person to the family. About him happily. At this moment, he and Anko were walking on the street. Anko ate the glutinous rice balls in his hand, and there was an indignant aftertaste in his eyes. Big bad guy, aren't you going to apologize to me? I'm sorry, Lord Anko, the little one was wrong. Cut. No sincerity at all. Anko Tsunere turned his head away, while Yizan grinned around her waist, leaned close to her ear, and bit her lightly. Oops. Nasty. Hee. Anko baby is so cute tilde. Poor and unloved. Some people secretly took Yuhi to live with me behind their backs. Have pity on me, and live in a bachelor's apartment all alone. Do you think someone is very annoying? Anko stopped, raised her chin and looked at Yizan pretty, her hands hooked around Yizan's neck, and boldly looked at Yizan. Gradually, Yizan's arm around Anko became tighter. He lowered his head, and gently, pursed Anko's lips. Rascal. So, you are the most troublesome troublemaker. Look at Yuhi. After a long time, he packed up and moved in. On the street of Konoha, Yizan took Anko's hand for a leisurely walk. Anko took the initiative to request, of course Yizan nodded and agreed without hesitation, asking Anko to move in tomorrow. What? I have more things than Yuhi. There are so many figurines and toys that I can't fit in the house, so I have to clean up for a few days. Anko pouted and muttered softly, but did not notice Yizan's strange gaze. Figures and toys. You still play with these? How old are you? I hate it. I like everything. I want you to take care of it. Anko snorted lightly, turned his head, and didn't get angry for a few seconds. His eyes lit up, and he jumped up happily with Yizan's hand. Brother Zan, I want to eat candied haws. Alright, let's go. Konoha's business has completely surpassed the original work. With Yizan's efforts, it is comparable to the urban business district of the Earth in the 21st century. Yizan's lunch was pulled out before he had 2 bites of lunch, and Enko didn't even eat lunch. People strolling and eating on the commercial streets, sweet, spicy, sour, fried, eating with a face full of yuhi light, and their moods are also happy. It's the right time to come to the commercial street, I like lively places. Enko said happily, jumping like a child, youthful and lively. Hey, it's crowded with people, look, I just stood in line for 10 minutes in order to buy art marshmallows for you. Hee hee, because Brother Zan is the best to me. I love you dearly. Boo. Yizan kissed Enko fiercely, then flipped the Byakugan in disgust. My mouth is full of oil. Hate. Your mouth is full of oil. You just ate fried chicken wings, and this girl has been eating sweets all the time. Be careful of gaining weight, Tilda. You are gaining weight. The two flirted with each other, and the full love made the two completely ignore the bustling crowd. Because they didn't pay attention to the surrounding environment, Yizan accidentally bumped into someone. Sorry, Yizan's face was full of surprise, and what caught his eye was a black-bottomed yuhi cloud robe, wearing a bamboo hat, and looking mysterious. Well, of course, it is very mysterious to outsiders, but how could Yizan not know him? However, since the other party was two people, Yizan could only scratch his head blankly, and said cautiously, I'm sorry, I bumped into you. It's okay. Uchiha Itachi said softly. Beside him, the ghost shark turned a Byakugan and clasped his nostrils speechlessly. He had never been to Konoha, and he had no idea that the flow of people on the streets of Konoha had reached such a terrifying situation. The tall and strong figure has been hit by many people. Itachi, I didn't expect you to be hit by someone so thin. Shut up. Because the ghost shark was there, Uchiha Itachi could only pretend that he didn't know Yizan, and the two passed by mistake, but Yizan had already given a password instruction at the moment of the mistake, and they would meet in a special restaurant an hour later. The ghost shark didn't know Yizan, which was understandable. After all, Yizan was a character from decades ago, but his appearance was always the same 18 years old. Even if it looked familiar, the ghost shark didn't take it to heart. 327 Yizan probably guessed what Uchiha Itachi was doing here. He accompanied Enko for another hour, and then dragged Enko into a tea house that was neither luxurious nor too bad. Hey, Brother Zan, what are you doing in the tea house at this time? Do you want tea? Entering the tea house, Enko subconsciously picked up the menu, and was shocked to find that the tea here is very expensive. It is obviously the same variety, but it is 5 times more expensive than other tea houses. It's so expensive. No wonder no one here. Is this boss an idiot? Who buys such expensive tea? Enko felt inexplicable, but at this moment, a clerk came over with a pot of tea, bowed respectfully to Yizan. Enko glanced at it. Her eyes were slightly cold. She was shocked to find that the clerk was exuding similar to hers. Brother Zan, what's the situation? Hey, allow me to sell it. You'll know in a while. Come, drink tea, it's free, Tilda. Yizan drank tea leisurely, and waited for about 10 minutes. Accompanied by the sound of footsteps on the stairs, a man wearing a black yuhi cloud robe and a hat came up. Itachi, this way. Master Zan. Uchiha Itachi took off his hat and bowed respectfully to Yizan. It took a while to get rid of the ghost shark. Sorry for being late. Chapter 447 _ Promise to Itachi. Is he Uchiha Itachi, Konoha class missing nin? Beside Yizan, Enko's face was full of shock. She felt that Yizan was kidding herself. Brother Zan, are you kidding me? Uchiha Itachi destroyed the Uchiha family and betrayed Konoha. Now, only the top of Konoha knows about this. It's normal for you not to know. Uchiha Itachi is a spy sent by Konoha. This matter is a top-secret mission, so don't say it. Enko is a qualified ninja. She is very clear about the level of top-secret tasks. She nodded earnestly, knowing that top-secret tasks are related to the survival of a country. She sits obediently and can hear the dialogue of such tasks. It is fortunate. Uchiha Itachi didn't know Enko, but after seeing Enko shopping with Yizan before, and now sitting aside without any hesitation, he knew that Anko was one of Yizan's women again. Regarding this, Uchiha Itachi cannot deny that he and Yizan have different outlook on life and values. For example, he has no feelings for women. In contrast, his younger brother is more important than anything. Oh, it seems that something incredible has been revealed. What versus ya? Well, anyway, everyone knows that Uchiha Itachi is a perverted brocon. Although Yizan squinted at Itachi with a smirk, his heart is pure and upright boy. To Yizan's strange gaze, Itachi only felt cold all over. He turned his head deliberately, and seemed a little restless. Oh right, Itachi, what are you doing today? When it comes to business, Itachi shows the qualities of a ninja even though he is uncomfortable. He turned to look at Yizan and nodded solemnly. The leader wants me to investigate Konoha's attack and the identity of the mysterious powerhouse. That's all. This matter, there is nothing to investigate. I have killed the mysterious man. Isn't Nagato afraid that the mysterious man will disrupt Akatsuki's plan? So tell him, I have killed the mysterious man, it's no big deal. Yizan's casual words made Uchiha Itachi stunned for a moment. Although it was unclear what happened next, at that time, Namikaze Minato was stunned by the opponent's move. Master Zan, your strength has become stronger again. Hey, I won't tell you Tilda. Yizan winked and shook his head, that smug expression. Really thinks Uchiha Itachi is an idiot. So, your strength has indeed become stronger. I told you not to tell you. That's getting stronger. Don't tell you. Anko's head was covered in black lines after a while of brainless confrontation between the two. What is this? Konoha's level missing nin and Konoha's strongest man were fighting each other like friends, making her feel like her worldview had been turned upside down. After the official business was finished, the next thing was private affairs. Uchiha Itachi sat with a solemn face. Compared with the official business just now, his expression was more serious now. Master Zan, how is Sasuke doing recently? It's okay, my strength has improved very quickly, and my performance is not bad. Yizan licked his ears carelessly, and said casually, I heard that he defected a few days ago and went to Orochimaru. Master Zan. Hey, Itachi, don't be impulsive, I have arrangements for Sasuke's situation, don't worry, I will return you a 6 paths immortal level Sasuke. How about it? Think about it, is it a little excited? Excited. My brother went to Orochimaru. Do you know who Orochimaru is? Uchiha Itachi kept roaring in his heart, but his face was cold, he just stared at Yizan, motionless. Don't stare, even if you stare at me, Sasuke has defected, don't worry, I will put Sasuke with Orochimaru for 3 years. Sasuke is not an idiot, he will always guard against Orochimaru, and he will be in this dangerous environment. He has advanced by leaps and bounds, and maybe after 3 years, he will be promoted from Chunin to cage-level powerhouse. Yizan's words made Uchiha Itachi stunned for a moment. If there is such an improvement in 3 years, it would not be a loss, but in 3 years from Chunin to a cage-level powerhouse, even the old self, including Yizan, couldn't do it. Are you there? So you have always underestimated Sasuke. Although Sasuke's IQ and EQ are lower than shit, his talent is still very good. His future achievements are higher than yours. When you reach the peak, he will kill you with one move. Shocked. What's the shock? With me here, it's not a problem to train Sasuke to become a 6 paths immortal level powerhouse, trust me. Yizan bragged a lot, and in view of Yizan's monstrous behavior, Uchiha Itachi gradually believed. Seeing that a long time had passed, he finally stood up and bowed respectfully to Yizan. Master Zan, it's time for me to go back. If I don't go back, there will be suspicions on the Ghost Shark's side. I'll leave Sasuke's business to you. Go. Yizan waved his hand, Uchiha Itachi swayed, turned into a black shadow and disappeared instantly. In the tea house, only Yizan was drinking tea quietly, and Anko, who was full of doubts, was left. Brother Zan, Sasuke Uchiha, do you really have this kind of talent? Yeah, he will definitely become a 6 paths immortal level powerhouse in the future, I'm not kidding. No, I mean, can you train him to a 6 paths fairy level? Can't. Huh. I just mentally believe he can be that level. How bad are you, liar? The matter with Uchiha Itachi came to an end, and Naruto Shikamaru returned to Konoha with a group of wounded. Looking at Naruto's frustrated look, it was clear that the attempt to bring Sasuke back had failed. Anko packed a lot of things, and came to Yizan's house with a large bag and a small bag, and officially became one of the long-term residents. And most importantly, when Yuhi and Anko joined in, the number of women in Yizan's family, including their 2 daughters, finally reached 8. Tsunade, Kushina, Makoto, Konan, Yuhi, Anko, Marina, Ellie. Exactly 8 people. It's great, 8 people. From tomorrow, we can play the 8-player game of Ninja Kill, Stinky Hooligan. When we play Ninja Kill, you are responsible for serving tea and pouring water. Yizan, circle.operator_circle.operator. Chapter 448 Naruto hit by high voltage. Time flies, in a blink of an eye, 3 years of high school. Oh no, 3 years have passed like this. In the past 3 years, the ninja world has been peaceful, and the fast-growing Konoha has gradually encountered a bottleneck. Now the Konoha village is similar to the 21st century of the Earth, and it is difficult for even Yizan to come up with a way to make Konoha more advanced. I'm back. The sound of wind and fire was still so lively. Yizan, who was sleeping on the sofa, was suddenly hit by something. He groaned and hugged the thing subconsciously. With a perfect figure and fleshy buttocks, Yizan blew out the newspaper covering his face. Marina, you're naughty again. Hee, daddy lazy, sleep all day tilde. Marina sat on Yizan and twisted over, her hands wrapped around Yizan's neck, lowered her head, and kissed Yizan on the face. Boo. Tisk. Saliva. What about the saliva? This girl's saliva is also fragrant. Genai held Yizan's face arrogantly, and kissed Yizan's face for a dozen times before stopping. 3 years, Marina has been 16 years old. Yuhi-colored hair as her mother, a fat-free figure, a bulging D-cup and angelic cheeks made her the most dazzling star of Konoha 947. In the popular vote last year, she was voted as the most dazzling star of Konoha. Pretty girl number 1. There are many varieties of this column, including girl rankings, goddess rankings, small fresh meat rankings, uncle rankings, and so on. The unprecedented new ideas also make this column a big hit. In the ranking of girls, Marina is first, Ellie is second, Hinata is third, Ino is fourth, Sakura is fifth, and the top 20 are counted as names. Needless to say, the ranking of goddesses, the top few were contracted by Yizan's women, and the uncle ranked first, Namikaze Minato. What? Why do you think Yizan is not the first? Because Yizan looks too young. He is actually defined as a little fresh meat by the column, and his votes have crushed the second place 10 times. Marina, don't do it on your dad, you're not too young, so be careful. The sudden voice made Marina pout unhappily. She turned her head and saw that Kushina was walking down the second floor. I want it. I'm going to do it on my dad. Dad. Are you willing to drive your lovely, darling daughter down? Of course I can't bear it. Come on, Marina, let dad hug Tilda. Kushina together with the truth. Kushina was so angry that he immediately rushed over with Kiba's claws, squeezed the truth away, and sat on Yizan's waist. You bastard, what did you just say? Say it again if you have the ability. She bit Kiba fiercely. Then, Yizan raised his head and easily pouted Kushina's lips. After being kissed by Yizan, Kushina instantly changed from a tigress to a kitten, and lay softly on Yizan's body, squinting his eyes, comfortably kissed Yizan. Seeing Kushina and Yizan kissing, Mina's mouth pouted even higher. She understood. My mother just wanted to monopolize her father, so she squeezed herself out in this way. Mom, get out of the way. Boo. Kushina left Yizan's lips, and the corner of Silver's mouth was charming and charming. She gave Marina a disdainful look, lowered her head, and blocked Yizan's mouth again. Damn, Mom, you actually disdain me. Damn. Shimura's house is lively, and Konoha village is also very lively. After 3 years of hard work, Namikaze Minato has completely secured the position of the 5th generation of Hokage, and Hokage's baby son Naruto has become a legend in the ninja circle. I heard that Uzumaki Naruto went out to practice with Jiraiya-sama for 3 years, right? He hasn't come back yet. At the gate of Konoha, Kamizuki Izumo and Gang Ziti whispered. As Konoha's most famous Chunin dragon, they recently took on the task of guarding for a month. Speaking of Izumo, where did you rank on the uncle list last month? 18. When it comes to this matter, Kamizuki Izumo proudly raised his head. Although our strength is not strong, our appearance is still very good. To be ranked 18th on Uncle Konoha's list makes him feel very honored. However, I'm so sorry Izumo, I didn't mean to hit you, but I'm ranked 15 tilde. Quote. The two people complained about each other and were not convinced by each other. The strong love made the gate of Konoha a pink yui color. At this moment, 2 figures stepped into the gate. With a dusty feeling, it looks like a ninja who has traveled for many years. Hey, this is... Kamizuki Izumo was stunned for a moment, with a hint of surprise in his eyes. It looks like this, shouldn't it be? Kamizuki Izumo was about to speak when the white-haired man walking in front suddenly turned his head and gave them a smile. Yo, I haven't seen you in a few years, how are you guys? Write what you're reporting, we're going back to our hearts like an arrow, Naruto. This guy can't help but want to find Minato. As for speaking, Jiraiya and Naruto have already entered the village, and the bustling streets are crowded with people, and their blue eyes glance at them. Compared with 3 years ago, Konoha has become more prosperous. Konoha. Naruto sighed, and suddenly jumped up to the telephone pole in front of him. Looking down at his hometown, a different taste came to his mind. Konoha, I'm back. Sizzle. Ah. With a scream, Naruto fell to the ground in pain. At that moment, all the surrounding civilians were attracted by the scream and gradually surrounded him. Hey, what's up with this boy? It's Lord Ninja. He ran up to the telephone pole just now and was hit by high-voltage electricity. Ouch, don't die. Quick, call the hospital's ambulance. Young people today, really? In the dense crowd, a few well-meaning people rushed to a nearby shop and dialed 120 on the phone. On the spot, Jiraiya looked at Naruto with a cold sweat. At this moment, Naruto's body had turned black, his mouth was slightly open, he was going to die. Breathing out a puff of white smoke. Chapter 449-Petty Violent. At Konoha Hospital, Naruto is being treated and bandaged. With the power of EPUB, 9 tails, to recover, Naruto's injuries don't really need treatment, but at that time, Jiraiya was so frightened that he could only watch the doctor at the hospital carry Naruto away, and then, they recognized Naruto's identity. Lord Hokage's son was struck by high voltage on a utility pole, which... Sorry Minato, I didn't know this would happen. What the hell is high voltage? I've never heard of it before. Outside the ward, Jiraiya scratched his head with embarrassment on his face. Minato sighed helplessly. Although his son was heartbroken, he couldn't blame Jiraiya. This is a new thing that Brother Zan has been tinkering with in recent years, hey. Actually, Naruto is not the first to suffer. Namikaze Minato sighed again, and after a few minutes, the door opened, and Naruto walked out alive with bandages all over his body. Dad. Naruto, how is your body tilde? No problem, with EPUB's 9 tails, strength restored. Minor injuries are nothing. Naruto scratched his hair and smiled stupidly. His smile was bright and sunny. He looked at Minato with longing eyes. Dad, I miss you and Mom. The news of Naruto's return soon reached the ears of his friends, and Marina temporarily gave up the confrontation with her mother and left the house in a hurry. Dad, I heard that Naruto is back. I went to play with him, hum. I hope he has become a lot stronger in the past few years, otherwise it will be boring to beat him. Boom. The door was closed, and the sound of Marina's ding-a-ding-a-dang footsteps still lingered in her ears. On the sofa, Yi-zan glared at Kushina lightly. This violent tendency is definitely inherited from you. What stinky hooligan, where did I get violent tendencies? It's obviously inherited from you. I inherited it. Don't make fun of me. How could I be violent? Go to Konoha and ask. No one will ever say that I am violent. If someone dares to smear me, remember your name and I'll beat him to death. Quote. The return of Naruto has made Konoha individuals active again, and in another place in the ninja world, the dry climate makes the surrounding extremely hot, the endless yellow sand, and the light appear unnaturally distorted in the high-temperature environment. The crisp wind chimes are illusory, and the attire of the black Yuhi cloud is looming in the desert. Hot. Senior, aren't you hot? In the desert, Afe exaggeratedly fanned the wind with his sleeves. His voice was sharp and loud, causing Deidara to frown in disgust. Shut up. What are you making a fuss about? Don't you do 1,000 errands when you're hot? Waste. Because of Afe's usual cowardice, Deidara has always been disliked by Afe. He quickly took out a lump of clay from Kabuto, opened his mouth with his palm, and ate the clay with a few clicks. Wow! A 2-meter-long clay bird appeared. Deidara jumped lightly and jumped directly on the bird. He didn't even look at Afe. Looking at the clay bird flying higher and higher, Afe blinked his eyes suspiciously, stunned for a few seconds, and finally came to his senses. Senior Deidara, wait for me, I haven't gone up yet. You don't leave me alone. Senior. Looking at Afe running in the desert, Deidara pouted the corners of her mouth in disdain, and finally controlled the clay bird to descend and landed in the desert. Hurry up, don't be dawdling, I'll capture Yue tonight. I can't stand it, how could this artist be a teammate like you? Akatsuki finally started to act. Konoha didn't know about this. After all, Yi-zan's order to Uchiha Itachi was to arrest Erway, Sanway and Kyubi, Nine-Tails, Jinchuriki column. When Akatsuki first officially acted, no one knew. Naruto. In Hokage's office, Naruto held his head and chatted happily with Minato, but when he heard this very familiar voice, his face changed greatly, and he turned his head in fear. Boom! The door of the office was kicked open, and Marina rushed in excitedly. If it was just a simple friend meeting, Naruto would definitely be very happy, but... Naruto, take a punch from me. Boom! A loud bang, the Hokage building shook violently. On the office chair, Namikaze Minato wiped his forehead in cold sweat, watching his son fall to the side. Unable to get up, he didn't even dare to intercede for Naruto. Yo, Uncle Minato. Hi, Marina. Namikaze Minato forced a smile, and then, he saw Marina walking towards Naruto carelessly, lifted Naruto's neckline, and lifted Naruto who was dying. Hey, Naruto, after 3 years of practice, why are you still so weak? Marina asked suspiciously, completely forgetting her own changes in the past 3 years. Her cute look is very cute, but in Naruto and Namikaze Minato in his eyes, he was a little devil. Really, Sister Shina, please forgive me. His cheeks were swollen, Naruto couldn't speak clearly, he blinked pitifully and almost cried. Cut. The weak. Seeing Naruto begging for mercy, Marina could only loosen Naruto's collar. She raised her head slightly, looked out the window, was silent for a long time, and finally sighed helplessly. The younger generation of Konoha, why is there no one who can pick me up? Naruto, you have to work hard. Yes, I'm sorry, Mrs. Marina, I will definitely work hard. Good Naruto, I appreciate your courage to never bow your head, work hard. We will have another contest next month. Uncle Minato, you have to supervise Naruto to practice. I'll go first, bye. To Namikaze Minato and left the office as if flying like a butterfly. On the spot, Namikaze Minato glanced at Naruto with swollen cheeks and the broken wall, and covered her forehead helplessly. Big Brother Zan's daughter. She can't be cured at all. How should I live in the future? Hey. Chapter 450 Deidara's Action. The moon stars are rare, the black magpies fly south, and the trees are surrounded by three. Cough. Cough. The moon is full and big tonight, and Gaara is sitting in Kage's office silently processing documents. Since returning from Konoha 3 years ago, he has been able to sleep, and he has also asked Ichigo, but Ichigo will not tell him why. Remember, you must not provoke that man in Konoha. This is my only condition. If you dare to wage war against Konoha, don't blame me for turning your face. Shukaku said with a serious face. When the mysterious man attacked Konoha, Gaara, including other foreign candidates, they did not leave immediately. These leading teachers, such as Maki, were quietly collecting data in Konoha, and because of a sudden accident, Konoha did leak a lot of information. It wasn't until Yizan returned with a group of Kage-level powerhouses that the teachers who led the team stopped moving, but at that time, Shukaku felt Yizan's aura, the 6 paths immortal level aura. If you want to die, don't pull me into the water. As long as you swear not to attack Konoha, I will stay in your body quietly. If there are other enemies, I can also fight with you. Gaara was baffled by Shukaku's words, but it was a good thing for him. Soon, Gaara will be able to sleep, and can easily manipulate Shukaku's power. After 3 years of hard work, his strength has increased dramatically. With Shukaku's power, he can compete with Kage level. For this reason, Gaara officially took over as Kage from his crippled father, and Chiyo's mother-in-law also retired from the top circle to start her retirement life. Wow! Wings flapped and a gust of wind blew up, and Deidara silently glanced down at Cheyenne village several hundred meters above the ground. Although the 4th generation of Kage is disabled, one-handed is also capable of quasi-shadowing. Fortunately, Chiyo's chakra is not found, one tail. The pattern on the left eye lens continues to enlarge. This is the money that Deidara has earned by performing the task hard. Entrusting Akatsuki technology, the lens developed by the development department has the effect of resisting demonic illusion and enlarging the map. I found it. There. Deidara's eyes narrowed, and he finally saw Gaara on the 3rd floor of the Kage building, but he didn't rush to do it, but continued to look around and found the hidden whistle of Cheyenne village. 3 whistle, small problem. Deidara whispered, and stretched his right hand into Kabuto to squeeze a piece of clay, and after a while, 3 little spiders fell from the air and landed silently on the necks of 3 whistle. What? The 3 whistles exclaimed at the same time. They were about to get rid of the spider on their neck. Suddenly, the spider grew rapidly. Blast! Boom! The spider exploded, and the huge power instantly blew the necks of the 3 of them. Successful infiltration. Really? The indifferent voice suddenly sounded from the side. Deidara's pupils shrank, and without thinking about it, he controlled the bird to avoid it immediately. Whoa! The yellow sand swept through the sky, and the terrifying flow like a waterfall almost caught Deidara. Oops, Deidara-senpai, what should we do? We've been discovered. Shut up. Deidara snorted coldly and looked at Gaara with bright eyes. At this moment, Gaara was standing in the air with a mass of floating yellow sand under her feet. Jinchuriki column force, I underestimate you. It's not just me that you underestimate. Gaara put his arms around him and said with a blank face. After a while, a large number of ninjas burst out from the village, all standing on the roof and looking up at the sky. Deidara's eyes, the gathering of thousands of shamans was not worth mentioning. He snorted softly and said disdainfully, just rely on this bunch of Jonin. With me, Jiden magnet style, sands waves. The sea of sand mixed with metal minerals violently rushed into the sky. Deidara quickly controlled the clay bird to avoid it. He frowned slightly, and found the 4th generation of Kage standing on the roof of the Kage building, with one hand in the left hand. 4 generations of Kage. It's me. The fourth generation Kazekage has a serious face. Although he has abdicated, he still lives in Cheyenne village, unlike Chio and Ebizo, who have left the village and live in seclusion in the remote and barren mountains. Humph. What if it's you? Back then, Shimura-zan cut off a hand, and he didn't even dare to take revenge. What did you say? Whoa. Golden sands are flying all over the sky. Compared with the yellow sands of Gaara, the golden sands of the 4 generations of Kazekage have more powerful power. Jidon, magnet style. It's raining when the sands are in. Shish. The sand formed a rapid bullet to Deidara, and here, Gaara hand sealed with both hands, a piece of yellow sand rushed to Deidara from the other side. Compared with his father's sands, Gaara's yellow sand is not powerful enough per square, but it has a large amount. Humph. A group of trash dares to besiege me. Ah-Fei, the 4 generations of Kazekage are handed over to you. If you can't even win with one-handed trash, you will never want to team up with me in the future. Deidara snorted angrily and kicked Ah-Fei off the clay bird with one kick. Ah-Fei screamed exaggeratedly. At the same time, Gaara and the 4th generation Kazekage split a small stream of sand and attacked Ah-Fei at the same time. Boom. Golden sand and the yellow sand collided, causing the sky to be filled with dust. Gaara and the 4th generation Kazekage looked slightly stunned. They were shocked to find that the guy with the spiral mask just landed on the building. The attack just now did not cause him any damage. Harm. It turned out to be a master. Everyone, come on. Seeing that Ah-Fei landed on the roof, the 4th generation Kazekage gave an order, and all the Jonins in Cheyenne village came to Ah-Fei, but Ah-Fei just chuckled, and before the 4th generation Kazekage could react, there was an extremely terrifying crisis behind him. 4th generation adults, be careful. The exclamations of the ninjas caused the pupils of the 4th generation of Kazekage 1.7 to shrink sharply, because his right hand was cut off by Yi-zan more than 10 years ago, and he only had his left hand, and it was difficult for him to manipulate sand to protect himself in this crisis. Space ninjutsu. How is that possible? Sand armor. Swish. Blood splattered, and the sharp kunai easily pierced the jinsha. Although the amount of chakra of the two of them is cage level, the 4 generations of Kazekage with only one hand can't control the chakra at all. Ah-Fei just wrapped a lot of chakra in Kuwu, and easily pierced it. Sans. Father. The 4th generation of Kazekage was actually injured by Ah-Fei's attack. Gaara was distracted, seized the opportunity. Deidara suddenly took out a lot of clay from Kabuto. C2. Dragon. Burst. Absolute defense. Chapter 451-arrest. Boom boom boom. Was a violent explosion. Yellow sand fell from the sky, a small gap appeared in Gaara's absolute defense, and the C2 dragon made by Deidara disappeared. The unharmed Gaara raised her hands and was shattered by the big explosion. The torn yellow sand actually flew upside down into the air again, and divided into several parcels towards Deidara. Deidara rode a clay bird and kept dodging in the air, and her hands did not stop to create a large number of small clay animal, bouncing towards Gaara at great speed. Boom boom boom. The roaring explosions resounded continuously, and the flames fluctuated. There was a kind of beauty in setting off fireworks. Seeing that his own small clay could not blast through the endless yellow sand of the other side, Deidara's face finally changed. Isn't it going to explode? As expected of the Jinchuriki column force, the steady stream of chakra can actually control so much yellow sand. I don't have much clay, so I must fight quickly. Thinking of this, Deidara's face froze, and the mouth in his palm quickly ate a lot of clay, and in a short while, he made 30 clay dolls. C3. Number 18. Quote. He snorted coldly and threw the clay doll directly. The doll instantly became bigger in midair. In Gaara's induction, the doll burst into a terrifying crisis. Oops. Quote. Found it. Ha ha ha, it's too late. Art is explosion, explosion. Boom. The indescribable explosion made everyone's ears in Cheyenne village lose their voices, and those who were close to them covered their ears in pain. Their eardrums were actually shattered by the terrifying sound waves. Then, the expected death did not come. The sky was dark, blocking the faint moonlight. Everyone looked up and was shocked to find that a huge super sand layer appeared in the sky, covering the entire village. This is Lord Kage's sand shield. As expected of Kage-sama. Long live Lord Kage. With Lord Kage here, no matter how strong the enemy is, don't be afraid. The ninjas and civilians below cheered loudly. In midair, Gaara also exhaled softly. His own chakra couldn't use this move. A large amount of sand gathered, blocking Deidara's attack. It's over, intruder. No, it's not me that ends, it's you. Deidara sneered and suddenly attacked with a few clay birds. Gaara easily pulled back part of the sand and wrapped himself into a ball. Is it absolute defense again? But I'm sorry, I already said that it's not me, but you. Let you see what real art is, burst. Deidara suddenly shouted, and at that moment, Gaara only felt that the sand ball that was protecting him had turned into an extremely terrifying killer. Boom. It was very muffled, like a suppressed explosion. The sound was not too loud, but in the entire Cheyenne village, only one person's face changed. Gaara, the fourth generation Kage shouted. He was protected by many ninjas because of his injuries. At this moment, he did not attack Ah Fei anymore, but looked at the air with a worried face. As a ninja who also used sand, he was fully aware of what happened just now. The power of the muffled sound is a full-hit explosion, because the absolute defense is closed, so that the explosion has the most perfect effect. Whoa! The absolute defense was shattered, and it turned into countless scattered sand and fell downward. Gaara closed his eyes, and the whole person completely lost consciousness. What? How is it possible? Kage-sama actually lost. This. Gaara, who fell into a coma, and watched their Kage-sama, who was caught by the intruder. Humph. Still worried about the Jinchuriki column force of one-tailed people. Worry about yourselves first. So much sand fell, tisk tisk tisk. Deidara's words made everyone react, but when they saw the sand layer covering the entire village slowly falling due to the loss of Gaara's support, despair appeared in everyone's eyes. All ninjas, regardless of their strength, worked together to attack the sand layer. Disperse the weight of the sand layer, and don't let the sand layer fall. Attack together. The injured fourth generation Kage worked hard, and a large number of golden sands rose into the air. The majestic golden sands were as powerful as ocean waves, but they could only hold up less than 1/20th of the sand layer, and could only barely hold the most central one. The crowd is not crushed to death by the sand layer. Fight, for the sake of a large number of civilians in the village, futon, wind style. Wind blade. Futon, wind style. Daitapa, great breakthrough. Quote. Futon, wind style. Wind dragon ball. Thousands of sand ninjas attacked the sky frantically, but at this moment, Deidara rode a clay bird and slowly flew into the distance. He put Gaara on the bird and sat directly on Gaara's head. Senior Deidara. After a wave of space fluctuations, Ah Fei slowly appeared beside Deidara. Deidara gave Ah Fei a surprised look, and her tone was not as cold as before. It turns out that you are a space ninja. You can damage 4 generations of Kage with one move. Your strength is not bad. In this case, let's continue to form a team in the future. Hey, thank you for your praise, I will continue to work hard. Ah Fei, that is, Uchiha Obito smirked while touching the back of 070's head. I don't know why, Obito deliberately pretended to be such a fool, maybe. Just to release his inner funny character. Village of Cheyenne was attacked, Gaara was finally captured by Deidara, and the village of Cheyenne immediately held an emergency meeting. The strength of the enemy is very strong, and to save Gaara, a strong Kage level must be sent to pursue. At present, there is only one Kage level, the reclusive mother-in-law Chiyo in the country of wind. The village of Cheyenne is in chaos, but the night in Konoha is peaceful. Clap la la. The outdoor when Izumi was steaming hot, and Yizan was lying down comfortably, enjoying the warmth of Wen Izumi. Marina was wearing a swimsuit. Her white and tender toes gently tapped into Wen Izumi, then quickly retracted, and clicked in again, slowly, putting her small half-foot into Wen Izumi. It's so hot. Marina was afraid of being hot, but she still insisted on entering Wen Izumi, and it took 2 minutes to soak her whole body in. Wow! Wen Izumi's water swayed with ripples, and Marina walked to Yizan's side beautifully, and placed both hands on Yizan's shoulders. Dad, let me rub your shoulders for you, Tilda. Chapter 452-Family Soaking in Izumi. Wen Izumi City opened in the very remote southern area of Konoha, where there are more than 100 Wen Izumi farms. Due to its high-quality Izumi water and a series of linkage developments such as restaurants, casinos, movies, and technology, it eventually became a famous ninja world. On Izumi City. Tonight, Yizan's family built a good Wen Izumi pool to soak in Wen Izumi. Men change clothes fast. He went down to Wen Izumi pool early, but he didn't expect that Marina came out first. Dad, do I feel comfortable rubbing? Marina said softly. Her head was close to Yizan's ear. Her perfect D-cup body was matched with a swimsuit, and Yizan couldn't stand the distance. That, Genai, your mother and the others are coming out. Yizan said softly, but his hands uncontrollably hugged Genai's waist and hugged her tightly in his arms. Dad. Marina's face was full of yuhi. She buried her head on Yizan's shoulder. The misty water vapor rose, and in the dark night, she looked more and more psychedelic. Stinky bastards, Marina, where are you? The sudden sound woke Yizan and Marina, who subconsciously retreated, and the sole of her foot accidentally stepped on a raised pebble at the bottom of the water. With a thud, she fell into Wen Izumi. Oh, it's hot, hot, hot. Marina came out. Her voice was sharp and bright. She was most afraid of being hot, but when she fell just now, her head, which had never been wet, was completely submerged by Wen Izumi. Marina's shout finally attracted Kushina, because there are many ponds in Wen Izumi field, and the light at night is not good. She watched for a long time before seeing Yizan. Idiot, you said you don't need to accompany us. Since you are afraid of heat, why do you have to come to warm Izumi? Kushina reprimanded helplessly, and then gently rubbed Marina's cheek with her fingers, and Marina threw herself in Kushina's arms aggrieved. Wen Izumi's high temperature burned her miserably. Sister, are you all right? In the distance, Ellie also came over. She was wearing a black one-piece swimsuit and looked like an 11-year-old little loli, but she was 15.5 years old this year. Ellie has a slimmer figure, a B cup, and long black hair that is soft and smooth. She has always been brooding about the fact that her figure is not as good as her sister's. It's okay, it's just being burned. I hate bathing Izumi the most. Marina puffed up angrily. If Yizan hadn't come to bathe Izumi, she wouldn't have come. Hey, it's not hot. Ellie put her feet in the pool to test the water, jumped directly into the water, swam a few times, and swam directly to Yizan's side. Dad hug. Seeing Ellie's obedient and cute appearance, Yizan immediately put her arms around Ellie's shoulders and held Ellie in his arms. On the side, Marina let out an unhappy snort. Dad's embrace was obviously his. Humph, you weird creatures who are not afraid of heat. You don't have the same knowledge as you. Idiot, who is a weird creature? You are the only one who is weird, and you have the strength of Jonin. You are afraid of being hot, and you are not afraid of shame when you say it. The sudden move made Marina scream in horror, hugging Kushina's waist and saying nothing. Don't push me, Mom, you're too much. Woohoo. Wen Izumi was steaming leisurely, and soon, the women in the family changed their clothes one after another, and except for Marina and Aili, all the women in Yizan's family were actually wearing bikinis. With different colors and styles, Yizan kept looking at the figures of the women, and a trace of saliva gradually flowed from the corners of his mouth. What are you thinking, little pervert? I'm still drooling, it's not like I haven't seen it before. Tsunade jumped into the water and kissed Yizan's lips in a funny way. What? You can't drool when you see it. Yizan squatted down slightly, leaving only his head on the surface of the water. His hands swam around dishonestly, causing Yuhi to faint instantly on Tsunade's cheeks. Hate, don't move. Tsunade glared at Yizan lightly, swam a few meters away, and came to Kushina's side. Kushina, do you want to drink? Have a drink, it's a nice night today Tilda. Kushina nodded, and then Tsunade pressed a small button on the shore, and a waitress in formal clothes came over after a while. Do you need any help? Here, some wine, some beer, sake, Yuhi, and also, the barbecue tools are ready, just stand by the side. Okay, please wait a moment Tilda. The waitress bowed and left, and after a while, 3 waitresses came over with a few plates of wine and put some grills next to the Wen Izumi pool. This Wen Izumi farm is actually one of the Wen Izumi farms officially invested by Konoha. At the request of Yizan, only female waiters are allowed in the Wen Izumi farm. After all, he occasionally brings women to Wen Izumi, but he does not want to be caught by men. Waiter looks. Tsunade and Kushina started drinking sake while soaking Wen Izumi. Here, Yizan smirked and hugged Yuhi's waist, while the other hand was dangling on Enko's body. Ah, brother Zan, don't be like this. Enko's face is full of Yuhi. Although she is bold, this kind of thing should still be done at home. She is still very shy in places like Wen Izumi Pond. Hey, my baby Enko, don't you usually dare to ask for it anywhere? Why don't you dare today? Yizan blinked his eyes suspiciously, but the smirk at the corner of his mouth did not change. Humph, you bad guy, wasn't it enough last night? You bullied me and Yuhi so badly, I hate it to death. Tisk, if that's the case, then I'll let it go, okay? Let go, big rascal. Enko gently pushed away Yizan's hand buried under Izumi's water, rolled his eyes and looked at the other girl. Brother Zan, I think now, Rin definitely wants you to touch her Tilda. Enko, what are you talking about? How could I? Rin, who had been quietly soaking in Izumi, raised her head instantly. She looked at Yizan with a Yuhi expression on her face, and was a little flustered for a while. Nohara Rin has never moved into Yizan's house. Although she likes Yizan very much, her thinking is more conservative. She didn't live at Yizan's house, but she often ate at Yizan's house. Today, everyone had dinner together, and because Yizan proposed to go to Wen Izumi, she was forcibly pulled by other women. It's not important, what's important is that at this moment, Yizan has already swam to Nohara Rin's side. The wicked smile on the corner of his mouth makes Yuan Rin's whole body go soft, and before he can react, Yizan is hugged into his arms. Chapter 453 _ How did you meet? Fragrant oily smells overflowed, and the grill was filled with fresh kebabs. The Wen Izumi pool, there are geothermal heat, lounge chairs, coffee tables, and fruit bowls. Yi Shuangguang was lying on the marble floor with his upper body on. The warm temperature quickly evaporated the warm water on his body. On the left and right, Marina and Eily hugged Yizan's arms respectively. They were wrapped in white dry. The towel, the long one, can wrap most of the body. Tsunade, Kushina, Yuhi and Enko were sitting by the Wen Izumi pool tasting wine. Makoto, Konan and Nohara Rin were grilling for everyone with great interest, and Yizan looked lazily at the stars under the night and the dazzling silver river. Hey, Dad. Marina said softly, rubbing her cheeks against Yizan's arm, how did you and Mother know each other? Her words made Yizan stunned for a moment, and on the other side, Ellie quietly raised her ears. How did you know? I went to the country of Vortex to perform a mission. You know, I'm lazy. My Anbu teammates and I went to the high slope outside the Uzushiogakure village and thought the scenery was good, so I let the other members of Anbu perform the mission, myself. Lying on the lawn to sleep, the grass on the lawn is relatively lush, and your mother stepped on her foot without seeing it. 177 That was the first time I met her. Quote. Hee hee, so that's the case, so the two of you must have had a big fight, right? Hey, how do you know? Indeed, your mother stepped on someone and didn't apologize. Of course I was angry. I wanted to do it, but seeing that your mother was so cute, I couldn't bear to do it, so I quarreled with her, tisk. I think of that year. Ah, so funny. Yizan changed his posture and embraced Marina and Ellie in his arms. The two women's cheeks were close to Yizan's heart, and Ellie tapped Yizan's abdomen with her fingernails. Then, Dad, how did you and my mother get together? Ellie also began to ask. Of course she knew that her mother was from the Uchiha family, but Makoto had never told her the story. Makoto, actually, your mother and I are classmates at the ninja school. We are at the same table in the first grade. I like to bully her and touch her hands. The ninja school is only 7 years old in the first grade. Dad, why are you so bad? Ellie's eyes widened in surprise, her eyes full of disbelief. Cough cough. Don't say that, I'm not the same as these brats. Don't forget, I collapsed the country of water when I was 8 years old. I'm not the same as ordinary brats. It's really different. Dad is so horny when he's so young. No wonder Sister Kushina calls you a scumbag. No wonder Sister Tsunade calls you a little pervert. Then tell me, how did you know Sister Tsunade? Aili is 15.5 years old this year, and Yizan's women, because of the ability of face fruit, will always remain around 18 years old. Tsunade looks a little older, only 23 years old, so many years ago, Aili and Marina started. Called their sister Tsunade, he. The first time I saw Tsunade, I touched her fierce, and she chased and beat her, that violent girl. Hey, little pervert, what are you talking about? When Yizan was complacent, Tsunade came over with a glass of wine. Yizan's face froze, and he snorted awkwardly. I didn't say anything. I was just telling Ellie and Marina that I chased after you for a long time because you were so beautiful. It's not Tsunade's sister. Dad said he touched you the first time he saw you. Ellie. Yizan's eyes widened in disbelief. He didn't expect Aili, who has always been cute, to humiliate himself at this time. He looked down at his arms, and found that Aili was smiling cutely, with an indescribably cute look in his eyes. As expected, the cut of the natural cut is black. The ancients honestly don't deceive me. Yizan blinked his eyes in despair, because at this moment, he had already seen Tsunade's clenched fist. It was too late to speak, and a flash of light suddenly flashed across Yizan's mind. He suddenly let go of his two daughters, got up, hugged Tsunade, rushed forward a few steps, and jumped hard. Poof! The water splashed everywhere, and Yizan jumped into the Wen Izumi pool with Tsunade in his arms. Cough cough. Bastard. You bastards are bastards, don't do it, just relax your fists. If you dare to move, don't blame me for being merciless. Yizan smirked, his submerged hands swimming dishonestly. Tsunade gave Yuhi a pretty face, angrily turned over by Akugan. Little pervert, it's getting more and more dishonest now. Pulling Yizan's fingers out of her swimming trunks, she glared at Yizan viciously, got up and left the Wen Izumi pool. She walked quickly to the grill, and found that the grill had appeared golden covered with grease and cumin. Barbecue. Then, Big Food number 1 drooled, and she leaned over beside Makoto with a shy face, her eyes fixed on the barbecue. Makoto, but did you eat it? That's it. The moment Makoto nodded, Tsunade took out the skewer like lightning, but as a high-end foodie, Tsunade didn't stuff it into his mouth stupidly, but took a few breaths and carefully put the skewer on his lips, waiting to find out. Once you can accept it, put it in your mouth quickly. Yeah, delicious. Tsunade's exaggerated behavior immediately caught the attention of Chuo number 2 and Chuo number 3. Kushina suddenly pushed Enko away, but Enko cleverly grabbed Kushina's wrist and pulled Kushina back instead. The second pass is mine. Enko exaggeratedly rushed over to pick up the grilled second pass, and even turned his head to look at Kushina behind him, and winked provocatively. Sister Kushina, you lost. Humph. Kushina pouted angrily, but she didn't expect to be turned against the first army by Enko. She came to Conan's side pretty and sullenly, and pitifully pouted to Conan. Okay, here, this is yours. Conan handed Kushina a bunch of grilled squid. Kushina sniffed it, and couldn't help swallowing. It smells good. Although they all had dinner, everyone was hungry after soaking in on Izumi. The fierce barbecue snatch battle began, and even Marina and Ellie participated, and Yizan, who was walking out of the Wen Izumi pool at the moment, when he came to the grill, the skewers on it had disappeared. That, mine. Chapter 454-Sleep with Two Daughters. Too much. When Izumi pawned, Yizan looked at the girls with grief and indignation. The girls just glanced at Yizan with a giggle. Tsunade Kushina and the girls continued to taste wine and eat fruit plates, and Konan Nohara Rin started a new round of giving. The barbecue was oiled, and seeing Yizan's pitiful appearance, Makoto walked over pretty and gently kissed Yizan's lips. Hee, Brother Zan, are you angry? I'm so angry. I'm a cheapskate, Yizan turned his head, and his high pouting mouth represented his dissatisfaction. Unless what? Unless you, Tsunade and Kushina are with me tonight. Hearing Yizan's request, Makoto's little face turned to Yuhi with a swish. She bowed her head shyly, and Yizan took advantage of the situation to wrap his arms around Makoto's waist. Hey, darling Makoto, try it once. But don't be shy, it's actually more interesting when there are more people. Tsunade and Kushina are very bold, let me tell you quietly. Yizan leaned into Makoto's ear and whispered something. Makoto's cheeks became more and more open to Yuhi. Beside, Marina puffed up her face unhappily, pinched the soft flesh around Yizan's waist, and squeezed hard. Ouch! Yizan let out a pained cry and turned to look at Genai, only to realize that the girl had become angry at some point. Baby girl, what's the matter? Who made you angry? You messed up. Me, how did I mess with you? Yizan scratched the back of his head in a daze, not knowing when he offended this precious daughter again. Yizan asked, and Genai didn't say anything. She puffed up her cheeks, bulging like a goldfish. Yizan couldn't help it. He raised his hands and pressed them against her cheeks. Squeak. As if the balloon was leaking, Marina's cheek was flattened by Yizan. She didn't speak or interrupt, just stared at Yizan silently with her beautiful big eyes, making Yizan feel uncomfortable. That, baby girl. Dad is wrong, please don't be angry. Marina snorted again, turned her head away and ignored Yizan. On the other side, Ellie took Yizan and Makoto's hands, and there were stars in her big black eyes. Dad, Mom. Ellie, what's wrong? I want to sleep with you tonight. Dad, I want to sleep with you too. Why don't you do this, Brother Zan? Don't bully us tonight, sleep with Ellie and Marina. When I got home, it was already 10:30 p.m. At the strong request of Marina and Aili, Yizan finally agreed to sleep with his two daughters, and then Tsunade Kushina Makoto Konan all leaned into Yizan's ear and warned Yizan not to mess around. Hey, am I that kind of person? What do you think of me? You little pervert, in my eyes, you're a little rascal. Tsunade said. Stinky hooligan, in my eyes, it's a bad and dirty stinky hooligan. Kushina waved his fist in disdain. Brother Zan, in my eyes, you are a bad Brother Zan. Makoto was glutinous, and what he said left Yizan speechless. Teacher, you are a bad teacher. Konan's face Yuhi bit his lip, that look. Yizan, okay, you guys won. At 10:30 in the evening, it is almost time for every household to go to bed. Soaking warm Izumi can improve sleep, that is to say, soaking warm Izumi makes it easier to sleep. Washing up, turning off the lights, and going to the upper bunk, but when he was in the upper bunk, Yizan gave his two daughters a stern look, and the two little nuisances almost lured Makoto to Tsunade Kushina. Before going to bed, did you wash your face? Did you wash your feet? Did you rinse your mouth? It's all washed. Marina smiled happily. She was wearing pink Yui-colored pajamas and jumped on the bunk with her bare feet. Sister, turn off the lights. Ellie nodded, closed the door first, then turned off the lights, and finally came to the edge of the shop with the faint moonlight outside the window, and climbed to the other side of Yizan. After the bed was covered, Yizan slowly breathed a sigh of relief. Sleeping was always so good, and seriously, it was not good for the body to stay up all night with women. Just take a break every now and then. With this thought in mind, Yizan slowly closed his eyes, but as soon as he closed his eyes, his nose was caught between two fingers. Marina, don't make trouble. Hee. Dad, don't go to bed, chat with us Tilda. Marina happily hugged Yizan's belly, and one foot rested on Yizan's leg. She shook her head excitedly, obviously without a trace of sleepiness. Tisk. Marina, Dad is tired and wants to sleep, and oh, even if you're not tired, Ellie is tired, she. Dad, I'm not tired. Ellie Chow's big black eyes were open, her head resting on Yizan's arm. Just like Zhenai, her eyes were also excited, but she didn't show it like Zhenai did. Okay, two babies, what do you want to talk to me about? Yizan squeezed his two daughters even tighter. Although soaking in when Izumi made him want to sleep, since it was the request of the precious daughters, he naturally wants to cheer up and chat. Hee, Dad, I want to hear the details of the first strange thing you and your mother did. Marina looked at Yizan with excitement. Yizan was slightly taken aback, and decisively rejected Marina's proposal. No, I can't tell you this kind of thing. Why? Because I can't talk. Change the subject. Then I want to hear how you felt when you kissed your mother for the first time and how your body reacted. This. Can't say that, Marina, you've learned badly. I've decided to temporarily deprive you of the right to talk about it. Now, I'll leave it to Ellie to ask. Ellie, what do you want to talk about? I want to know, assuming that my father is an ordinary person, and that I and Marina fell into the river at the same time, you can only save one, who do you want to save? Yizan. Circle.operator_circle.operator. Chapter-445 Cheyenne Village asks for help. In the early morning of Konoha, several thousand meters high in the sky, a huge bird was flying. Guru. The bird made a screeching sound, and there was exhaustion and spirituality in its small eyes. Swish. Wind picked up, and the birds came to a higher platform in Konoha. On the platform, a ninja came over suspiciously, and there were several ninjas feeding more than a dozen birds. It's early in the morning, where did it fly? The ninja walked up to the bird. When he noticed the Yui-colored mark on the bird's forehead, his face changed greatly, and he even took a step back subconsciously. Isn't this the highest level communication ninja beast Yingmaru of Cheyenne Village? Something must have happened. The ninja quickly took off the box on the bird's back, laid it flat on the table, handed the hand seal with one hand, and whispered, "Open." Bang! The seal was lifted, and what came into view was a document with a Yui-colored background. This is a first-level emergency communication document. A little confusion gradually appeared in Konoha, but Shimura's house was quiet. Yizan fell asleep comfortably. He lay on the bunk in a big shape, occupying most of the space. The same is true for Marina. She spreads out her hands and feet without any sleepiness. Her right hand and right foot are all on Yizan, and the back of her hand is even more on Yizan's face. It was a pop that hit Yizan's face. The most pitiful one was Aili. She curled up slightly on the far right, leaning against Yizan, like a stray kitten, occupying less than 1/10 of the space. Ellie sleeps best, curled up, holding her hands under her cheeks as a pillow head. Her breathing is small and thin, and she is very cute. And at this moment, crunch. Door was pushed open, and Makoto walked in slowly. She stood silently on the edge of the shop, watching the three idiots sleeping, not only covering her mouth and snickering. Mom. The soft voice seemed to have not woken up. Ellie rubbed her eyes in a daze, and found that Makoto was really standing in front of her. Mom, why is it so early? It's still early. It's 10 o'clock, the three of you. How late did you go to bed last night? Makoto said amusedly, took Ariana's arm in midair, and pulled her up with a little force. Hug. Although she was pulled up, Ellie still couldn't open her eyes lazily. She leaned her head on Makoto's stomach, hugged Makoto's body with both hands, and yawned softly. Seemed to fall asleep again. Hey, you guys. Seeing Ellie's tired appearance, Makoto shook his head, and finally put Ellie next to Yizan, walked out of the bedroom in small steps, and closed the door gently. Except for the industrious Makoto and Conan, the slackers of Shimura's house were still sleeping, while in Hokage's office, Namikaze Minato's face was very solemn. In addition to Namikaze Minato, Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi are also in the office. Naruto is holding the back of his head carelessly. There was no Konoha collapse plan, and there was no intersection between him and Gaara. The village of Cheyenne is officially asking us for help, and Akatsuki has kidnapped the 5 generations of Kazekage Gaara. Are we going to save it? Naruto asked suspiciously. Although he was innocent and kind, why did Konoha do things in other villages? Of course, after the end of the Third Ninja World War more than 10 years ago, Cheyenne Village and Konoha reached an alliance. Over the years, both sides have made good achievements in economy, trade and politics, and... Namikaze Minato paused. Of course he knew about Akatsuki. Although he didn't understand Yizan's detailed plan, he knew that Akatsuki was the private property of Uzumaki Nagato, and at that time, Uzumaki Nagato was Jiraiya's apprentice. That is his own senior brother, but I didn't expect that Uzumaki Nagato would eventually turn his back on Konoha and start to develop on his own. Cheyenne Village is our ally. Kazekage was caught. We Konoha have an obligation to help. Now give Kakashi class a task. Go to Cheyenne Village to find out the situation immediately, become Cheyenne Village's foreign aid, and help Cheyenne Village rescue Kazekage. Minato's words brought a happy smile to Naruto's face. After 3 years of practice, he did not expect to receive such an important task within a few days of his return. Save Kazekage. This is to save Kazekage. That is to say, my father believed that he could complete the task, so he gave the task to his class. Sakura did not become Tsunade's apprentice like in the original book, but because of Sakura, her mental power is twice that of ordinary people, and her chakra control is very high. In the past 3 years, she entered the Konoha hospital and became a medical ninja. She studied with the medical squad leader. Her excellent chakra control level made her quickly become a powerful medical ninja. Although the treatment is very powerful, her attack method is very simple. So far only the chakra scalpel is an attack method. Wait. The sudden voice made everyone stunned. Namikaze Minato looked at him, only to find that Sakura was awkward, obviously a little shy. That, Lord Hokage, you gave such an important task to our class. Can our class complete the task? Kazekage is the most powerful person in the country of wind. He has been arrested, just a few of us. Sakura's meaning is obvious. Kakashi is just Konoha's Jonin, although she doesn't know Naruto's current strength, but 3 years ago, Naruto was at the level of Chunin. Although her medical ninjutsu is very powerful, she can't exert any power in battle. Such a combination to support Cheyenne Village. Sakura, what are you talking about? Since Dad gave us the task, he trusts me 2.3. And I have become a lot stronger in the past 3 years. We can complete the task. Naruto was dissatisfied, shouting. He was afraid that Minato would cancel the mission. After all, this is a super advanced mission to save Kazekage, and he is full of enthusiasm to do whatever he wants. Naruto was noisy, but Sakura's words made Namikaze Minato agree. Although Naruto is a Jinchuriki column force from Kyuubi, 9 tails according to the description of the letter for help, the other party easily defeated the 5 generations of Kazekage, and the other person has space. Ninjutsu, 1 blow wounded 4 generations of Kazekage. What Namikaze Minato thought of, Kakashi also thought about it. he lowered his eyelids lazily, and his tone had a hint of indescribable comfort. Lord Hokage, there is a group of people who I think are very suitable to carry out the mission with us. Chapter 456_Wake Up. Yizan didn't wake up until 11 o'clock. He yawned and patted the bottoms of his two daughters, finally waking them up. Well, Dad hates. Let me sleep for a while. Marina held the bed and didn't let go, as if she was holding the bed like a doll. Tisk, look at your sleeping position, you're not a lady at all. Yizan patted the truth again, while Ellie stared at Yizan resentfully. Last night, Dad's sleeping position squeezed her to the very edge. Ellie, why are you staring at me like that? Being stared at by Ellie's resentful eyes, her scalp was numb. Yizan scratched her head in embarrassment. Ellie didn't say anything, just snorted, got up, and stroked her messy black hair. Dad hates it. I haven't given the answer to the first question last night. She pouted and said resentfully, and saw Yizan looking up at the sky, with a silly look, obviously not wanting to answer the question. It's fine if you don't answer, Smoothing her hair, Ellie put on her slippers and left the bedroom. After a while, Makoto Konan's voice came from downstairs, and she could vaguely hear Kushina's stretching. Whisper 30. Ailee, the stinky hooligan didn't mess around last night, did he? No, I just had a chat with my dad last night. My dad is going too far, and he actually avoided my questions. What's the problem? Suppose me and Marina fall into the water, and Dad can only save one, who will he save? Quote. Hearing the faint voice from downstairs, Yizan yawned again. Before he could react, his neck sank, and his pure white arms gently hugged his neck. Hey, Marina, are you awake? I woke up a long time ago, and pretended to be asleep just now. Marina chuckled, and approached her head with a face full of yuhi, trying to kiss Yizan's mouth. Boom. Ouch. Genai let out a soft cry and covered her forehead aggrieved. She was about to kiss her soon, but Yizan knocked her on the forehead. Stinky Dad, what are you doing? Just knocking on you. Want to kiss early in the morning? I didn't rinse my mouth, it stinks. You are stinky, I hate it. Smelly Dad, I'm ignoring you. Marina got up angrily, and left the bedroom wearing slippers. In the bedroom, Yizan was the only one left. He yawned lazily, muttered a few words, suddenly sank down, and pulled up the bed cover to cover himself. Well, let's sleep for a while. The lazy Yizan continued to sleep. In the living room on the first floor, Makoto had already placed the finished crystal cakes on the coffee table. Hey, Marina, where's your father? I don't know. Said angrily, walked into the bathroom and started to wash her face and brush Kiba. Makoto blinked inexplicably, and finally stepped on the stairs to the second floor, pushed aside the bedroom belonging to Mina, and found that Yizan was sleeping with his head covered. Brother Zan, you are still sleeping. Makoto walked over slowly, and just sat on the bed. Yizan opened the bed and pulled Makoto down. Oh, Brother Zan, what are you doing? Suddenly falling into Yizan's arms, a hint of shame appeared on Makoto's cheeks. She tenderly wanted to push Yizan away, but Yizan smiled wickedly and said nothing. Hey, Makoto, you see last night I spent the whole night with Marina Irie, and now. Don't, Brother Zan, everyone is awake, and this is Marina's room, in case she runs in. In other words, it's enough to go to your room. Yizan leaned close to Makoto's ear wickedly, biting lightly. The warm breath made Makoto's whole body go soft, and he fell into Yizan's arms completely. Brother Zan, do-ent. Makoto Nuo pleaded. Although Yizan had already made her feel, she still couldn't hold on. After all, everyone was awake, she was thin-skinned, and she was really embarrassed to be so bold. Makoto begged bitterly. Yizan slapped her mouth a few times, and finally let her go, but before letting her go, Yizan still gave her a few big kisses, which was considered interest for himself. Dong dong dong. A knock on the door came from downstairs. Yizan was stunned for a moment, and Makoto escaped from Yizan's claws. Guests are here. Kushina's shout made Yizan helpless, and finally he could only put on his clothes and pants, and took Makoto's hand and dawdled down to the first floor. Yo, Minato, Naruto, Sakura, Kakashi, long time no see. Boss Zan, I haven't seen you for 3 years, do you think I've become stronger? Naruto grinned, bending his arms, showing that he was strong. Naruto, have you really become stronger again? Marina walked out of the washroom. She shook her fist casually, and instantly made Naruto's neck shrink and lowered her head in fear. Sister Marina, I'm weak. Naruto was already afraid of being beaten by Marina. He blinked pitifully, and resolutely hid behind Namikaze Minato, for fear of being beaten by Marina again. Naruto instantly confessed, but here, Sakura stared at Yizan unblinkingly, still familiar, as if never getting old, but she already knew the truth 2 years ago. This one looks only 18 years old. The handsome guy is not Marina and Ellie's brother at all, but the legendary 4th-generation Hokage, the indomitable Konoha patron saint. Zan. Mr. Zan is good. Sakura bowed her face yuhi. Every time she saw Yizan, she had a different feeling, but roughly speaking, it was, this man is so handsome. Well, hello Sakura. Yizan nodded, then looked at Minato, and directly gestured with a little finger. Minato, you have changed, you haven't brought Mawako to play with me for a long time. Brother Zan, what? You are obviously too lazy. My 10-10 starts work at 7 in the morning, and I often work overtime. You are ashamed to say it. Minato complained with black lines all over his head. Seeing Yizan woke up so late, he full of envy and jealousy. Cut. Who told you to be a Hokage? I told you at the beginning that being a Hokage is a chore. You don't believe it. Are you comfortable now? You are exhausted. Also, looking at your posture, you should be looking for me for something, right? Tell me, what's the matter? The 5th generation of Kazekage was captured by Akatsuki, and a rescue letter was sent from Cheyenne Village. Chapter 457_Arrogant Treatment. Have you brought everything? Okay, you are not allowed to use the ninja gear unless it is absolutely dangerous. Ellie, you are responsible for supervising your sister. If she uses ninja gear casually, remember to give me a small report. Dad, what do you mean? You actually let Ellie supervise me. Also, even if you say that, Ellie is on my side. Is that so? Ellie, if your report is successful, I'll sleep with you alone. Tilda. Facing Yizan's sugar-coated cannonballs, Ellie nodded and agreed without thinking. Being able to sleep with her father alone was an irresistible temptation for Ellie. Dad, how can you do this? It's too much. Then you have to behave well. Don't let Ellie catch you. Okay, let's go. Yizan pointed into the distance with a bloody face, and then, in full view of the public, walked towards Konoha village with his hands behind his back. I knew that the blood just now was fake, big lazy. Staring at Yizan's back, Marina was full of resentment. She still wanted to use the latest technology to go to Cheyenne village to be arrogant. If you are not used to it, just drop a Raiden Thunder style Rasengan directly, not to mention being more energetic. Sister, Dad just knew that you would do this, so he asked me to supervise you. Eileen Pretty stood aside, but the words that came out of her mouth made Marina's face darken, and she turned her head angrily. Ellie, don't report me. No, if you use the ninja tools indiscriminately, I will definitely report you. As long as you report you, I can sleep with Dad alone. Thinking of this, Eileen's big black eyes flashed with bright stars. Ellie, you are too much. I'm sorry, sister, I want to sleep alone with my father. Village asked for help, and Konoha sent Kakashi to lead the team, with Naruto, Sakura, Marina and Irie rushing towards Cheyenne village. When they arrived, several days had passed, and they hurried to the hospital at the invitation of Cheyenne village ninjas, where Maki and many Jonin were there. Kankuro went to chase the enemy alone, and was seriously injured by the ninja who could set bombs. His injuries were too serious, and all his internal organs were damaged and bleeding profusely. Elder Chiyo could only barely hang Kankuro's life. Maki's face is full of grief. As Kankuro's instructor, he has always had feelings for many years. Seeing that Kankuro is about to die, his mood is very bad. "Let me come, I'm Konoha's medical ninja, maybe I can save him." Sakura stood out from the crowd. Because of her high level of chakra manipulation, a few years have made her a Konoha-ranked medical ninja. "You can't, little girl, maybe your medical level is very good, but our elder Chiyo is the strongest medical ninja other than Konoha Tsunade Haim, even her old man can't treat her, you. Hey, I'll take you in." Quote. With the idea of a dead horse being a living horse doctor, Maki led the Konoha group into the ward. As soon as she entered the ward, anger appeared on Chiyo's face. "Damn Konoha White Fang, how dare you appear in front of me? Go to hell." She even gave up the treatment of Kankuro and rushed towards Kakashi frantically. Kakashi took a step back with a blank face. He didn't want to fight Chiyo inexplicably. "Sister, look clearly, this is not White Fang." An old arm grabbed Chiyo, and Chiyo was slightly taken aback by the heavy voice. "Sister, Konoha White Fang is not so young. If it was White Fang, he would be in his 50s now. If you look at the young man in front of him, he looks like he is in his 20s, not White Fang." Ebizo pulled Chiyo and then turned towards Kakashi. He bowed. "Sorry, my sister is impulsive, I hope it won't affect the friendship between the two countries. Tilda." It doesn't matter." Kakashi scratched his head, not knowing that his father killed Chiyo's daughter and son-in-law during the Second Ninja World War. He smiled naively, obviously not taking Chiyo's crazy words to heart. At this moment, because Chiyo suddenly attacked Kakashi, Kankuro's condition deteriorated instantly. He coughed in pain on the bed, and when he coughed casually, the wound on his body began to bleed. The internal organs are all broken, bleeding profusely. Sakura hurried to Kankuro's side, but when she saw Kankuro's injury, her pupils shrank sharply, and a green light immediately appeared in her palm. The art of rejuvenation. The technique of healing and regeneration is a very rare medical ninjutsu. Only a small number of ninjas in Konoha and a small number of ninjas in Kumogakure village use it in the whole ninja world. It uses the cells in the injured body to heal wounds, and the therapeutic effect is extremely overbearing. However, this technique requires a very long time and concentration, so you need to take breaks from time to time to replenish your physical strength. Kankuro's injury is too serious. Even if Sakura tries his best, he can only recover Kankuro's injury at an extremely slow speed. If this goes on, Sakura will run out of chakra within a short period of time, and Kankuro also died because of the lack of treatment. Half an hour later, Sakura sweated profusely and withdrew the technique of rejuvenation. She glanced at Maki guiltily and shook her head. "Sorry, this kind of injury will take at least 3 days without interruption with my strength. The treatment is good, but my chakra can only last for half an hour, sorry." The technique of healing and rejuvenation is Konoha's advanced medical ninjutsu. Not to mention that it is not allowed to be passed on to outsiders. Even if Chiyo wants to learn it, it will not be learned in 10 days and a half. Now, Kankuro's injury can't last for an hour. Seeing Kankuro lying on the bed in pain, Marina quietly pouted. Although she was naughty, she was always a kind girl, and the country of Konoha Hefeng was an ally. She felt that when necessary, she should stand up and help those in need. Well, it was actually the kindness of the little girl. Seeing Kankuro's miserable appearance, she silently walked to Kankuro's side, and slowly raised her hands under everyone's doubtful eyes. Sealing technique. Super. Palm Immortal Seal Regeneration. A brilliant green light illuminated the entire ward, and 5 minutes later, Kankuro's injury was healed. Facing everyone's ghostly eyes, Marina raised her chin arrogantly and raised her eyebrows in disdain. "Don't compare me to you. In my eyes, except for my Ellie, everyone present is a hot chicken. Chapter 458 Synthetic Gudodama, Truth-Seeking Ball. In a large cave in the Kingdom of Rivers, Deidara and Afe are standing on the fingers of the huge Gedo Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, surrounded by 7 colorful phantoms. The magic 9 dragons are sealed, and the tailed beast is sealed into the special sealing technique of Gedo Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. This is because Yi-zan changed the original book and left Kakuzu and Konan in Konoha. Akatsuki couldn't find the 9th core member for several years. In desperation, he could only use 8 people. This sealing technique, seriously speaking, can be used by Nagato alone. The chakra of the Uzumaki family is more than 10 times of the same level. If Nagato uses all his strength, he can complete the seal alone. Of course, it is impossible for him to do this. He would rather work hard for everyone to seal together, rather than exhaust his chakra. Although there is one less person, he has put some more force in the seal, which can be considered to fill the lack of people. Trouble. It takes 3 days to seal the tailed beast. In addition to guarding against the enemies from the land of wind, you should also pay attention to your own body, and don't break the seal in an accident. After Nagato finished speaking, he quickly took a few seals with both hands. Soon, the chakras of the 8 people began to be transmitted into the fingers of Gedo Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. With the infusion of chakras, Gedo Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, opened his mouth and spit out 9 violent chakra dragons. The magic 9 dragons are sealed. Roar. The 9 dragons roared, instantly drowning Gaara. Gaara floated in the air in pain, Yuhi-colored chakra constantly overflowing from her mouth and eyes. Yuhi-colored chakra flew towards the sky, and entered Gedo Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, mouth. Akatsuki began to draw a tail, and the team that rescued Gaara was ready to set off. Because the enemy is too powerful, except for Konoha and everyone, the only Sandy ninja participating in the rescue is Chiyo, mother-in-law. 3 days later, in a certain cave in the kingdom of Chuan, the extraction of the tailed beast was coming to an end, and it would take up to 10 minutes to completely extract the tail. There is an enemy coming, Konoha ninja. Ju shook his head. With 100,000 clones, he could monitor the entire ninja world, and one of his clones had already discovered the Kakashi team. Konoha ninja. Nagato frowned slightly, and every time someone mentioned Konoha, he thought of following Jiraiya's practice as a child, and Konan. It should be Cheyenne village looking for Konoha for help. Since it's a Konoha ninja, Itachi and Ghost Shark, you go to block it. Nagato's order. Itachi and Oni will naturally not refuse. This cave was originally one of Akatsuki's strongholds. The 2 of them hand seal at the same time, and then Nagato also followed hand seal. Soon, the chakras of the 3 of them flew out. The cave captured 2 of Akatsuki's outer members. The art of elephant turning. The 2 peripheral members screamed and were wrapped by the turbulent chakra. Soon, the 2 seemed to use the transformation technique, and they turned into Uchiha Itachi and Ghost Shark. Let's go, Shangjuan Itachi said lightly, and walked towards the Kakashi class with Shangjuan Ghost Shark. The Kakashi team is chasing Akatsuki hard. In Konoha village, Yi Xuanpan is sitting in an extremely closed room with thousands of seals around the room. This is a special room in the depths of the root base. The surrounding sealing technique blocks all perceptions from the outside world. Even if someone engages in earth-shattering battles inside, as long as the outer wall is not damaged, there will be no trace of breath. Yi-zan closed his eyes and put his hands on his knees. Pure white chakra was burning on his body. Suddenly, he opened his eyes, drank softly, and a terrifying breath burst out. Boom! The momentum of the 6 paths level scurried around the room. The whole room was crumbling. Thousands of sealing techniques around the room glowed at the same time, blocking Yi-zan's momentum inside. At this moment, Yi-zan's clothes have turned into a holy white robe composed of chakras. There are many black strips scattered on the white robe, and 6 black tomos are evenly arranged at the neckline. The whole person seems to be made of jade, a bit transparent. Dazzling light blooms. Otsutsuki Momoshiki 3 years ago, and eating the fruit of the god tree incarnated by Kinshiki, Yizan's strength has stabilized at the 6 paths level, but he does not have the blood of the Otsutsuki family. The power and Gudodama, truth-seeking ball. Rinnegan Cantu it. It is the racial talent of higher alien races, and even the Otsutsuki family, not many have Rinnegan. But the power of yin and yang and Gudodama, truth-seeking ball, seem to be able to figure it out on their own. Gudodama, truth-seeking ball, can be fused with only the power of yin and yang and the 5 elements. Reaching the level of 6 paths, Yizan can easily integrate chakra attributes, and can even modify body cells easily. This is the benefit of unlocking the 3rd layer of genetic locks. Anyway, Yizan feels that he has evolved into a more advanced human being, including Jinten particle style. He can release it with a single finger. However, Yizan is currently unable to integrate Gudodama, truth-seeking ball, although he can easily control the 5 elements, but he lacks the power of yin and yang. The power of yin and yang is very simple to say, but complex and complicated. But to Yizan, it seems quite simple. I don't know what happened, but after Yizan became 6 paths level, his power became the power of yang, not only the pure white special effects blooming all over his body, but also the powerful attack power. That is to say, to obtain Gudodama, truth-seeking ball, Yizan only needs to create the power of yin and fuse the 7 attributes together. The power of yin is mainly the power constructed by spiritual power. Coincidentally, Yizan's spiritual power is 5 times that of ordinary people. Well, this so-called ordinary person also includes the 6 paths immortal. Then, Yizan extinguished his chakra and used his spiritual power with all his strength. As a person who unlocked the 3rd layer of the genetic lock, his control over his body, including his brain, has reached an unprecedented level. Weakness is purely aimed at one's own body, and the effect is more exquisite than the ability of the face fruit. A stream of spiritual power was continuously extracted. Yizan opened his left hand, and soon, a mass of pure black matter appeared in the palm of his hand. Is this the yin power condensed from the spiritual power? Staring at the palm of his hand, Yizan blinked a few times, not knowing how to integrate the power of yin. After thinking about it, he simply opened his mouth and swallowed the power of yin directly. Chapter 459 _ The technique of turning off the image in seconds. Gudodama, truth-seeking ball, was so mindlessly created by Yizan. Not only that, he also mastered the power of yin and yang by the way. As for why it took 3 years for Yizan to create Gudodama, truth-seeking ball, because he has been playing 10-10 for the past 3 years. Or he is sleeping, or he is having sex or playing with his daughter, and he has no time to practice. After completing the training of Gudodama, truth-seeking ball, and the power of yin and yang, Yizan regained his slack attitude again, and in the country of the river, the Kakashi team finally met the Itachi and the ghost who used the image-turning technique. The image-turning technique can make other people get the same appearance as a specific character and can use all the skills, including Kekkei Genkei, of a specific character, but only 30% of all the abilities of the main body, but 30% of the strength of the cage-level powerhouse, and then how can there be the level of elite Jonin? Jonin can't win without a strong ninjutsu. After all, the elephant-turning technique can replicate bloodstains, and with Uchiha Itachi's Mangekyo and Ghost Shark's excess chakra, you can easily crush elite Jonin. Uchiha Itachi, Kisame Hoshigaki. Kakashi raised his forehead with a dignified face, and Tomo Sharingan stared at the two. Yo, I didn't expect that the legendary copy ninja Kakashi was chasing after us, but... Oni Shark glanced at Naruto, Marina and Irie, then turned his gaze to Chiyo. With you guys, just think, take back one tail. The Ghost Shark's tone was very loud, but in fact it was just delaying time. The 3-layer strength was not enough to compete with Chiyo, and vaguely, he felt that the 2 girls in front of him were very dangerous, especially the 2 girls' right arms, as if there is something hidden, and it exudes deadly coldness all the time. The Ghost Shark feels that even if he comes here, he will not get any benefits. The 6th sense of a strong person is generally more accurate. Although Ghost Shark doesn't know about Konoha's new ninja gear, he is really afraid of Marina and Irie. As for Uchiha Itachi, of course, he knows the identities of these two girls. He is silent and does not speak. He knew very well in his heart that since Shimura-san dared to let his two daughters out to do the task, he must be fully prepared in terms of safety. Itachi and Oni want to delay time, but Konoha doesn't want to delay time, especially Naruto. Although there is no intersection between him and Gaara due to the change of the plot, he is a very impatient person. He has been practicing for 3 years. He also wanted to perform in front of the crowd. Teacher Kakashi, is that Sasuke's older brother? Let me go. Naruto took Uchiha Itachi in one bite. As Sasuke's basic friend, he has always been dissatisfied with Uchiha Itachi, dissatisfied with Uchiha Itachi's defecting, and let Sasuke live in a cold and no place in a world of family care. Naruto took the initiative to ask Ying, and Kakashi did not refuse. In fact, he also wanted to know Naruto's strength in the past 3 years, and he knew that his 3 Tomo Sharingan were not Mangekyo's opponents at all. Unless Kamui is used, but once Kamui is used, the cards are completely exposed. Kakashi, who is accustomed to hiding, doesn't want to reveal his cards so quickly, so he nodded slightly and began to think about the battle plan in his mind. Let Naruto contain Uchiha Itachi and the rest of us lay siege to Kisame Hoshigaki, the plan works. Thinking of this, Kakashi finally opened his mouth, but just as he opened his mouth, Marina suddenly came out and grabbed Naruto's arm, almost causing Naruto to fall. Sister Marina, what are you doing? Naruto shouted in dissatisfaction. Multiple shadow clones started to hand seal. Marina suddenly pulled like this, making Naruto's spells fail. Idiot, shut up. Marina's eyes stared, and Naruto immediately shrank his neck in fright. He was used to being beaten by Marina since he was a child. Facing Marina's eyes, he couldn't raise any resistance at all. With a word to dismiss Naruto, Marina finally turned her gaze to Uchiha Itachi and Oni, and then she raised her arm easily, revealing the new ninja tool on her wrist. The moment Marina revealed her ninja tools, Itachi and Oni sharing suddenly had a bad feeling in their hearts. The two looked at each other silently. Oni Shark hoped that Itachi would attack first and use Mangekyo Sharingan to let the other party hit the ground. Of course, Itachi understands the meaning of the ghost, but can he do it? Dare he do it? You know, he is Konoha's spy, a member of Anbu, and Yi-zan's subordinate. If Yi-zan knew that he used Tsukuyomi to attack Marina, Yi-zan wouldn't tear himself apart. Thinking of this, Uchiha Itachi trembled all over, and immediately pretended not to understand the eyes of the ghost shark, and the instant confrontation between the ninjas was doomed to the end. Uchiha Itachi deliberately paused, and Marina finally attacked. Bu. 2 fist-sized balls were launched from the ninja equipment. One was crystal clear like a glass ball. The glass ball was surrounded by countless thunder and lightning. The sky is overwhelming, not to mention Itachi and the ghost shark. Even the teammates next to them are shocked and widened their eyes. What is this? Sakura exclaimed, covering her mouth in disbelief. What a horrible chakra fluctuation. Tomo Sharingan stared at the flying ball. He clearly saw that the power contained in any one of the 2 balls surpassed his own. It's so strong. Is this the essence of Konoha? Granny Chio was silent. She had never seen this kind of powerful ninjutsu, but the release from a little girl's hands made her feel an unprecedented shock. And here, the ghost shark has been completely stunned. What does this fuck mean? 2S rank ninjutsu. And looking at the posture, in the S-level ninjutsu, they are all top-level ninjutsu. How can this kind of tricks of cage-level powerhouses be released by a little girl? Oops. Seeing the 2 balls flying over, the ghost shark remembered that he should avoid it, but because of the shock just now, he lost the chance to escape. Ghost shark was shocked, and Uchiha Itachi's eyes were suddenly enlightened. At this moment, he finally understood why Yi-zan dared to let his daughter come out to do the task. It turned out that this new type of ninja tool was the trump card. Boom. The terrifying hurricane chakra blew with a loud noise, the ground collapsed, and 100 meters of earth waves were stirred. Raiden Thunder Style Rasengan and Futon Wind Style Rasengan hit Itachi and Oni at the same time, turning them to ashes. Chapter 460 Extraction is complete. They're here. Boom. There was a loud noise from the cave, and the seal set outside the cave was stubbornly resisting the attack. Poof. Gaara's body fell to the ground, completely losing its vitality. Nagato retracted his ninjutsu and looked up at Deidara and Faye. Deidara, Faye, are you alright? Humph. What a joke, how could such a small scene be difficult for me? Just to let those guys see art. Deidara raised his chin arrogantly, but the ghost shark suddenly sneered, looking at Deidara with disdain. Deidara, don't be too arrogant, do you think Konoha's ninjas are as rubbish as your land? What did you say? Hee, let's do it on your own, but I think we won't meet again in the future. The implied meaning of the ghost shark's words made Deidara extremely annoyed. Just when Deidara was about to attack, Nagato glanced at him lightly. The power released by Rinnegan made his heart tighten, and he lowered his head angrily. Deidara, the ghost shark is right, the Konoha ninja is different from the ninjas in other villages. The Second Ninja War, the Third Ninja War, Konoha single-handedly resisted the attack of the Four Kingdoms, and the ghost shark. Tell me, what the hell did you and Itachi just meet? Leader, Itachi and I met the Konoha reinforcements, including Hatake Kakashi, and a few others we didn't know, but a teenage Yuhi-haired girl is very strong. She is not strong, but she has a ninja tied to her right arm. Tool, you can launch S-rank ninjutsu in the ninja tool, and Itachi and I were instantly killed by the S-rank ninjutsu she fired. The ghost shark's words made the scene instantly quiet, and the rest of the people who were going to cancel the Phantom also turned their heads and looked at the ghost shark in surprise. Oh, fire S-rank ninjutsu at will. Nagato frowned slightly at Nagato's words. He was silent for a moment, then asked again, do you recognize what it is? Sorry, I can't recognize it, but I can describe the two rapidly spinning balls that the girl fired, one of which was crystal clear, with countless thunder and lightning inside, and the other with a piercing shriek, a hurricane on the surface. Very scary. It's Raiden Thunder Style Rasengan and Futon Wind Style Rasengan. Nagato said softly, his eyes dazed. Shimura Gen's ninjutsu. Shimura Gen. It's actually Shimura Gen. Why Shimura Gen's ninjutsu? Who is that girl? Hidan, who had always been arrogant, joined the discussion quietly. S-class ninjutsu is sealed in his arm. I've heard that Konoha's technology is very advanced all these years. Is this a new technology of Konoha? It's possible. If it's really Shimura-zan's ninjutsu, Deidara, Faye, you two have to be careful. Thank you for your concern, Senior. I'm fine, I'm just worried about Senior Deidara. Shut up. Do you want to die? Deidara snorted coldly, causing Faye to immediately shut his mouth. Afterwards, Deidara looked at Nagato with a stern gaze, apparently ignoring everyone's warnings. Boss, don't worry. Well, although you said that Shimura-zan is too strong, this is just Shimura-zan's ninjutsu. A girl who only uses ninja tools is nothing to worry about. Deidara's confidence made Nagato nod slightly. He is now a shadow clone, and even if he wants to help, he can't help it. This gathering ends here. The two-tailed Jinchuriki column power and the three-tailed Jinchuriki column power are Uzumaki Kushina and Nohara Rin, so I won't provoke Shimura-zan for the time being. Then starting tomorrow, Itachi, Oni, you are responsible for arresting the tail man Jinchuriki column force. Sasori, Hidan, you are responsible for arresting the 5-tailed Jinchuriki column force. I will arrest the 6-tailed Jinchuriki column force. Deidara, Faye, after you leave, rest for a few days. Then go to arrest Naneo Jinchuriki column force. Let's do it. Disperse. After Nagato finished speaking, the colorful phantom shadow clone disappeared instantly, and as Nagato disappeared, everyone's phantom shadow clone also disappeared without a trace. Place. Deidara snorted softly, reached into Kabuto and took out some clay, and after a while, a clay bird appeared beside Deidara. My fighting style is not suitable for a cave, come up. Okay, senior. Afei trotted towards the clay bird, and when he stood still, Deidara controlled the clay bird to fly. The sound of the rustling sounded, Deidara took out some clay again, and kept spitting out small spiders from the palm of his hand. The explosion outside the cave became louder and louder. The violent explosion also shook the entire cave continuously. Drop down. Go. Deidara threw it hard, and more than a dozen spiders quickly came to the entrance of the sealed cave. He stared at the cave silently, keeping the hand seal gesture with both hands. Boom, boom, boom. The violent explosion blew the seal, and the sky filled with dust. Deidara grinned, and the spider standing at the entrance of the hole quickly crawled out. At this moment, Marina finally used chakra-enhanced strength to break the seal. Before she could wipe off the sweat, she saw a dozen clay spiders crawling out. Miss, be careful. Boom. The spider jumped towards Marina, and a huge explosion suddenly occurred, and when the smoke cleared, Naruto stood in front of Marina wrapped in a hurricane, unscathed. Yo, Naruto, not bad. Hee hee, thank you for the compliment, big sister Tilda. Being praised by the truth is unprecedented, Naruto scratched his head and smiled, looking very happy. At this moment, a white shadow flew out from the cave, and the speed of the white shadow was extremely fast. When everyone reacted, the white shadow had already passed them and flew into the distance. Don't run. Naruto shouted, and instantly turned on the futon wind style mode to chase 4.1 out. His speed was extremely fast, and after just running a few steps, the whole person flew up. Naruto, don't chase alone. Wait. Seeing Naruto chasing after him mindlessly, Kakashi was shocked. You know, the other party is 2 cage-level powerhouses. Even if Naruto grows up again in 3 years formidable, it is impossible for 2 cage-level opponents. Kakashi jumped up and quickly followed, and Ellie didn't stop at all. She turned around and stepped forward. She, who had been silent all this time, was actually 1 point faster than Kakashi. Place, there were only 3 of Chiyo's mother-in-law, Marina, and Sakura. Since Marina was not good at speed, she could only watch the crowd chasing, without waiting for her own thoughts. Damn, Naruto, Kakashi, and Ellie, you guys just left me like this. I'm so pissed.